Chapter 337. The Dark Eye of Death was the ultimate level of this forbidden technique, and it represented the intent of death. Once I cultivate the death nether eyes, any living being's soul will have nowhere to hide from the gaze of the nether eyes and will be forcibly taken away. Although it can't decide your life, it can control your death. Zhao Feng's understanding of the world was flipped once more. The Dark Eye of Death's essence was to comprehend the laws of death. Life and death were the laws of the world that couldn't be controlled. No one had ever heard of someone who could comprehend life and death and become immortal. Even sovereigns at the Origin Core realm only had a few hundred years of lifespan, and they couldn't comprehend life and death. Even Void God, realm kings, and emperors couldn't break free from the shackles of life and death. Above the Void God realm was the Mystic Light realm and the legendary Heavenly Divine realm. The Heavenly Divine realm was said to be on the level of gods and celestials. Maybe only those at this level could become immortal. The will that represents death. Is this dark, incomplete art of fantasy? Zhao Feng couldn't help but shake his head. He felt that it wasn't realistic. At the very least, this book was incomplete and extremely tattered. According to the description, the Dark Eye Incomplete page had 9 incomplete pages, and only by combining them could one cultivate the ultimate Dark Eye of Death. With Zhao Feng's current level, he felt that the Dark Eye Incomplete page was extremely profound. There were many terms inside that were extremely ancient. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng had stepped into the ancient Tao of the soul, he probably wouldn't even be able to touch the surface. Although Zhao Feng couldn't cultivate the Dark Eye Incomplete page in a short amount of time, his horizons were broadened. There were many Forbidden Eye techniques in the Dark Eye Incomplete page, and they were called Dark Eye techniques. Some of them could corrupt the opponent's mind and soul. Once one was hit by them, it would be impossible to heal them, and they would only be able to watch as they died. There were also some Dark Eye techniques that could collect the souls of the dead and use them to kill without leaving a trace. High-level secret magics could even be used to plant a terrifying and vicious curse on an enemy through the dark eyes. The 100 Graves Forbidden Ground that Zhao Feng had interacted with before had a powerful curse that even experts at the True Spirit realm couldn't escape. Up until now, only the Scarlet Moon religion leader had left safely. All in all, the Secret Eye techniques in the Dark Eye Incomplete volume were cruel and vicious. The invisible methods of death were chilling. The journey was long, and time passed slowly. Zhao Feng had started to dabble in the Dark Eye Incomplete volume. Even though he had not stepped into this path, he had gained some comprehension and thought about it. Using the principles of some of the secret arts in the Dark Eye Incomplete volume, Zhao Feng further improved the power of his eye bloodline. At this stage, he was still the core of the two. One was the core of the lightning inheritance, and the other was the ancient Tao of the soul, with the Lord of Ice soul as the core. One was in the physical world, and the other was in the spiritual world. Only by merging the two would Zhao Feng have a deeper foundation and capital. In the blink of an eye, nearly 2 months had passed. On this day, Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes, a hint of exhaustion on his face. However, the light in his eyes gave off an even stronger mental energy pressure. After nearly 2 months of comprehension, Zhao Feng's 2 cores had improved greatly. The power of the Ice Soul Pearl's 2nd level had increased Zhao Feng's mental energy level to the point where it was no weaker than the true mystic rank. On the 2nd floor of the Lightning Inheritance, Zhao Feng's comprehension had reached the late stages. At this point in time, the outline of the star lightning seal on Zhao Feng's forehead became clearer. Even without using the power of the Lightning Inheritance, it could be seen. Meow meow. The little thieving cat yawned with sleepy eyes. You've worked hard. Zhao Feng put the little thieving cat into the spiritual pet bag. However, when he checked the interspatial bracelet and ring, his expression changed. Damned thieving cat. Zhao Feng's eyebrows jumped in anger. The lightning star mark on his forehead pulsed vaguely, and the lightning and thunder yuan qi in the surroundings became unusually fierce, giving rise to crackling sounds. Over half of the resources and primal crystal stones in his interspatial dimension had been lost. Without even asking, it was obvious that they had been eaten by the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat never did hard work for free. It had protected Zhao Feng for nearly 2 months and blocked the chaotic winds in the air, so it obviously had to pay for its services. What a strong aura of lightning. The representatives of the Canopy Great Country all sensed it. This was especially so for Prince Jean and the other 10-star geniuses of the Great Country. Zhao Feng took a light breath and concealed his aura. He then picked up the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat had a pitiful look as it waved its paws around to explain. What? You're in the growing phase, and you need resources and primal crystal stones? Zhao Feng inspected the little thieving cat suspiciously. Even after eating the mountain of resource crystals, it did not show any obvious growth. Meow meow. The little thieving cat signaled that it would help Zhao Feng in the sacred true dragon gathering. Do you have any new abilities after eating so many of my resources? The little thieving cat, Zhao Feng shook his head and became more and more disappointed with this cat. Right at this moment, Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I sensed something and looked into the distance. In the distance, there was a bright white spot that gave off strange ripples. It was 500 kilometers away. The white light came closer and closer. We finally arrived at the Northern Star Stand. A voice sounded from a Canopy Great Country group. That bright spot was a dazzling white stone platform that had a circumference of 5 kilometers. In the middle of the stone stand was an ancient black stone door. The white, sparkling stone platform and the pure black, unadorned stone door were very conspicuous in the vast desert. This desert had a terrifying sandstorm that could swallow anyone under the true spirit realm. There were powerful beasts on the ground and in the air. Even those at the true human rank would die here. This is the Northern Star Stand. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye scanned over and found that the level of the arrays here exceeded his knowledge. This arrangement made him think of the stone stand in the middle of the 100 Graves, forbidden ground. When the Canopy Great Country arrived, there were already many figures on the Northern Star Stand. The Purple Rising Great Country and Scarlet Sky Great Country have arrived. Prince Jin's eyes scanned across the crowd. At this moment in time, the people on the Northern Star Stand had formed their own groups. The geniuses of the 3 great countries of the Northern Continent had gathered together. Apart from that, there were many strong countries, sects, and families. There were probably close to 100 strong countries in the Northern Continent. However, each strong country only had 2 spots. Compared to them, the 3 great countries were the largest countries in the Northern Continent. Many strong countries were under the 3 great countries. For example, when the Canopy Great Countryside descended, several strong countries' troops quickly gathered over. The 3 great countries were Purple Rising Great Country, Scarlet Sky Great Country, and Canopy Great Country. Zhao Feng found that the 3 great countries contained over half of the forces in the Northern Continent. After all, within a country, there were many sects and families that had their own spots. Little golden pig, we meet again. A teasing female voice sounded from the Purple Rising Great Country. The leader of the Purple Rising Great Country was a heroic purple-haired girl wearing a phoenix embroidered battle robe. Little golden pig? Zhao Feng found that the phoenix embroidered battle robe girl was facing the Canopy Great Country. This Princess Lin Yue. Prince Jean gritted his teeth but felt his head hurt. Jiang Sanfeng suppressed his laughter and said in a low voice, Little Golden Pig is the nickname Princess Lin Yue gave to Prince Jean. However, Prince Jean was completely defeated by Princess Lin Yue twice. Princess Lin Yue was the princess of the Purple Rising Great Country and also the strongest bloodline genius in the Great Country. Princess Lin Yue's strength is famous across the entire Northern Continent. Before, she had defeated 2 true mystic rank experts. In the last sacred true dragon gathering, Princess Lin Yue made it into the top 100. This time, her strength and bloodline have both increased greatly. The people on the Northern Star Stand discussed in low voices or asked each other. Princess Lin Yue slowly walked over to the Canopy Great Countryside. "Aye, little golden pig, you're the leader of the Canopy Great Country? Looks like the geniuses of the Canopy Great Country aren't very good." Princess Linue's eyes spun as she scanned the geniuses of the Canopy Great Country. Although it seemed to be a casual scan, her eyes contained a weird sharpness and pressure. The hearts of the geniuses who were scanned shook and instinctively avoided her gaze. Oomph. Wang Xiaowai didn't show any weakness. A cold light flashed in Tian Yunji's eyes, as if an invisible blade had sliced through the air. Zhao Feng was unmoved, and Lu Qinxin was quiet and didn't want to compete with the world. Jiang Sanfeng instinctively avoided her gaze, unable to meet her gaze. Princess Linue was secretly surprised. She had just used a secret technique of the Imperials to check her opponent's strength. If the opponent couldn't even meet her gaze, then it meant that they were at least 2 levels lower than her. If the opponent could meet her gaze, then it meant that they had the will to challenge her and weren't much weaker than her. However, after checking, Princess Linue was slightly surprised. Wang Xiaoguai and Tian Yunji were both able to meet her gaze and even retaliate. Especially Tian Yunji's blade intent. It had almost shaken her mind. This Tian Yunji has comprehended such a strong embryonic blade intent. Looks like his strength might even surpass Prince Jean, and he's a strong opponent. Princess Linue concluded. Apart from that, in the Canopy Great Country, Princess Linue couldn't see through Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin. Especially Zhao Feng, who was completely unmoved, as if he didn't care about her gaze. Hee, what beautiful blue hair. Princess Linue flashed and appeared in front of Zhao Feng with an envious expression. Zhao Feng's light blue hair was like a dream, as if it was made by the heavens. Princess Linue also had another goal, and that was to investigate Zhao Feng's strength. But after looking closely, she confirmed that this guy was only at the early stages of the true human rank. There shouldn't be a second Xian Wuheng in the northern continent. Princess Linue shook her head and felt that she was thinking too much. From Princess Linue's arrival to her departure, Zhao Feng didn't do anything. In the Canopy Great Country, Prince Jean and company broke out in cold sweat. The difficulty of dealing with this Princess Linue, these veteran rising stars had a deep understanding of it. So. Whooshing sounds came from the air as more and more strong countries and sects gathered. Which strong country is this? It doesn't look familiar. A few people landed on a blood-blue bird far away, and they didn't fit in with the others. Oh, come to think of it, it seems to be a very remote country called Iron Dragon. Chapter 338. The people who descended from the blood-blue bird were from the remote Iron Dragon country. Because it was far away, only a few people knew of the Iron Dragon Kingdom. The person in the lead was a black-clothed young man who held an iron fan in his hand. His eyes were like an eagle's, and they were empty and cold. What was strange was that his skin had a layer of metallic luster to it. Even his clothes and hair seemed to be fused with metal, and they emitted a cold metallic aura. True Lord rank. When the crowd looked at him, they didn't dare to look down on him in the slightest. Instead, they were filled with respect and fear. Although the Iron Dragon country was far away, it had at least a peak True Lord rank expert. There were 2 representatives from the Iron Dragon country. One was a black-robed youth, and the other was an old-fashioned youth. The former was at the early stages of the true human rank, while the latter was at the early stages of the true human rank. This is the Northern Star stand. Lulong, Bei-moi, you two can interact with the other geniuses, but don't cause trouble. True Lord Tiexiao's voice was indifferent as he ordered. Yes, Allah. Bei-moi took a deep breath. The gazes of the geniuses on the Northern Star stand gave him a lot of pressure. Even someone as strong as True Lord Tai Xiao, who forced the upper echelon of the 13 countries to surrender, tried to be as low-key as possible. The Iron Dragon country could be considered a strong country in the northern continent, but it was below average. At this moment, the Northern Star stand was filled with representatives from the 3 great countries, many strong countries, and large sections. The 3 great countries were above the other strong countries. Even 10 Iron Dragon strong countries would not be able to withstand a single blow. Even some sects and families could sweep through the Iron Dragon country. Therefore, the Iron Dragon country tried to be low-key and cautious. Moi. Zhao Feng's face was filled with shock as he stared at the familiar, old-fashioned youth from the Iron Dragon country. Moi stood on the spot. He was a little cautious and nervous, not daring to look around too openly. Furthermore, there were too many geniuses on the Northern Star stage, so Moi didn't notice Zhao Feng. Therefore, it was only Zhao Feng who paid attention to Moi. This Moi betrayed Lord Guanjuan's clan and betrayed the Broken Moon clan with Haiyun Master. Why isn't Haiyun Master here? Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he didn't find Haiyun Master. If Haiyun Master was still at the same cultivation level, Zhao Feng would be able to kill him easily. At this moment, a small disturbance occurred in a certain area of the Northern Star stand. The two young stars did not agree with each other and started fighting. The two geniuses were at the peak true human rank and the late stages of the true human rank respectively. As they fought, the wind howled and air currents blew within 100 yards radius. All right. The surrounding geniuses were overjoyed as they watched the show. There were many geniuses on the Northern Star stand, and they were all geniuses from various places. It was normal for a few words to cause conflict. Every time the Northern Star stand gathers, the geniuses of the various factions of the Northern Continent find it hard to get along. Zhang Sanfeng could not help but shake his head. The older generation doesn't restrain their juniors? Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. In just a short while, the geniuses from a few factions had already started fighting. One reason is because of the conflicts between countries and clans, and even the grudges from the last Sacred True Dragon gathering. The other reason is that the geniuses of the various factions are trying to understand each other's strength. Dai Yi explained. Understand? Zhao Feng smiled. This word was very suitable. The Northern Continent was very big, and many forces and countries were far away from each other, so there weren't many chances to interact. Now that all the geniuses had gathered, it was time to test each other's strength. Under this situation, even if there weren't any conflicts, there would be conflicts. Even one of the three great countries, the Canopy Great Country, couldn't escape. Normal strong countries and sects obviously didn't dare offend the Canopy Great Country. However, there wasn't just one great country in the Northern Continent. There were also a small number of sects and ancient families that didn't fear the Canopy Great Country. The Canopy Great Country is really colorful this time. Gold fur, blue fur, purple fur. I thought I'd entered a dog's kennel. An ear-piercing, mocking voice sounded from a nearby faction. The one who spoke was a bald man. His chest was outlined with a strange dark green blood pattern. It wasn't a tattoo, but rather a kind of aura that originated from his bloodline. When he breathed, there seemed to be liquid flowing out, vivid and lifelike. It's Xie Long from the Scarlet Sky Great Country. This person is ranked 3rd in the Scarlet Sky Great Country and has the rare Azure Flame Tattoo Dragon bloodline. He reached the top 100 in the last Sacred True Dragon gathering. The geniuses from the nearby countries all recognized the bald-headed male's identity. The instigator was Xie Long from the Scarlet Sky Great Country, and his cultivation had reached the peak true human rank. When Prince Jean and the others heard this, they cursed angrily and retaliated. Ha! I was wondering who it was. So it's a little worm from the Scarlet Sky Great Country. A dominating voice sounded from the Canopy Great Country's side. Everyone felt as if an invisible blade had sliced through the air, and a piercing pain on their skin caused them to look over. A handsome male wearing an azure battle robe with an ancient blade on his back stood out. Tian Yunji, the 3rd-ranked genius of the Canopy Great Country. If I remember correctly, didn't he lose to Xie Qinglong in the past? As soon as Tian Yunji appeared, he attracted the attention of many. Someone who lost to me dares to come out and embarrass himself. Xie Qinglong snickered. The two were both ranked 3rd in their respective great countries. However, Tian Yunji had lost to Xie Qinglong before. The clash between the geniuses of the two great countries attracted the attention of the geniuses of the other forces. Even Princess Linyue from the purple, rising great country smiled faintly as she looked over. Azure, sun, blazing dragon. Xie Qinglong spread his arms, and the dark azure blood tattoo on his chest started to flow and form a dragon-shaped azure flame. Hu boom! As Xie Long raised his palm, the dragon snake-shaped green flame roared and raged. The high temperature spread out for hundreds of feet and almost engulfed Tian Yunji in an instant. What a powerful bloodline secret technique. This is the strength of the top 100. Xie Long's power made the hearts of many geniuses who were participating in the sacred True Dragon Gathering for the first time shake. The destructive power of the flames was enough to burn normal true human rank cultivators to ashes. The Iron Dragon countryside. This is the peak genius of the northern continent. Baimwa took a deep breath. Xie Long's bloodline secret technique countered his dark water inheritance. At this moment in time, he felt his flesh and chi of true spirit tremble. If they really fought, he probably wouldn't be able to take more than a few moves from Xie Long. Sky Cloud Blade Drawing Technique. Jiang. As the azure-sharp ancient saber was unsheathed, a streak of dazzling azure saber light that was more than 100 feet long slashed the raging dragon-shaped azure flames into pieces. At the same time, a formless saber-intent aura rushed into the sky, urging his mind and will. Many geniuses felt their hearts go cold, as if an invisible blade had sliced through their bodies. Blade Intent. The beginning form of Blade Intent. When did Tian Yunji have such a powerful blade intent? In the nearby purple rising Great Kingdom, the forces of several strong countries were all startled. Tian Yunji's saber intent tore through the air. The power of his saber was boundlessly domineering, forcing Xie Long to take 1 or 2 steps back. This was only the first blade drawing technique. Next, Tian Yunji activated the power of the sky and cloud race's bloodlines. Blue and white light runes appeared on the startling rainbow saber ray, which had the power to split rivers. When did this brat comprehend blade intent, and it's so strong? In just a few moves, Xie Long was forced back and a bloody gash was left on his face and chest. In terms of bloodline, Tian Yunji wasn't weaker than him and was even stronger. The blade intent raised his offense to a whole new level. Even Prince Jin and Princess Linyue were slightly surprised. Tian Yunji's current strength was enough to reach the top 100 of the sacred True Dragon Gathering, or even higher. The rumors are true. After losing to Xian Wuheng, he comprehended blade intent, and it's twice as strong as normal geniuses. Princess Linyue's eyes flashed. Princess Linyue had experienced Xian Wuheng's strength before. Half a year ago, Princess Linyue and Xian Wuheng had fought to a draw. What made her angry was that the unfathomable and mysterious genius only used one hand to fight with her from beginning to end. Xian Wuheng's story became a strange topic of conversation in the northern continent. He didn't have high talent, nor did he have an inheritance bloodline. He had never even learned from his seniors. However, it was precisely such a person who comprehended step by step on his own, integrating many cultivation methods and inheritances, and creating his own cultivation path. Bam! Xie Long's body stumbled and took a few blows from Tian Yunji before finally losing and spitting out a mouthful of blood. Thanks! Tian Yunji returned to the Canopy Great Country as the victor. The Canopy Great Country's victory obviously made the Scarlet Sky Great Country lose face and send out the second-ranked genius. Of the 3 great countries, the Canopy Great Country's overall strength wasn't weaker than the other 2 great countries, but the strength of their younger generation geniuses couldn't compare to the other 2 great countries. Zhezhe, Wang Xiaowai rubbed his fists and excitedly jumped out. He waved his gold and silver stick and faced the Scarlet Sky Great Country. The second-ranked genius of the Scarlet Sky Great Country had reached the peak true human rank and wasn't much weaker than Prince Jin. Wang Xiaowai fought crazily in this battle. The more heavily injured he was, the more powerful his bloodline would be. It was truly abnormal. After 100 moves, Wang Xiaowai's injuries weren't light, but his battle power increased greatly and he won. After losing 2 battles, the Scarlet Sky Great Country's expression finally changed. If the second and third-ranked geniuses of the Canopy Great Country are this strong, then the first Prince Jean, the expressions of the scarlet sky, and purple rising great countries changed. In reality, Zhao Feng knew that Wang Xiaoguai and Prince Jean were evenly matched, and if it was a life-and-death battle, Wang Xiaoguai might win. In terms of offense, Tian Yunji's battle power even surpassed Prince Jin's. The Canopy Great Country is indeed different this time. I know the first-ranked Prince Jean, but the second and third-ranked strength has increased dramatically. Princess Linyue's eyes twinkled as she glanced at Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin on the Northern Star stand. In order to make it easier to challenge, the seats were arranged in front and behind. Kuli, go test that blue-haired youth's strength. Fan Xiaoye, go test out that enviously beautiful woman in white. Princess Linyue ordered. Kuli and Fan Xiaoye were ranked 4th and 5th in the Purple Rising Great Country. According to the previous rankings, they were at least 3rd and 4th in the Canopy Great Country. Princess Linyue's targets were Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin. Chapter 339. Canopy Great Country and Purple Rising Great Country are friends. It's rare for us juniors to gather together. This is a good opportunity for us to learn from each other and improve our friendship. Princess Linyue's phoenix eyes were burning, and she looked valiant and formidable. She directly proposed a spar, which was straightforward and decisive. She wasn't like the Crimson Sky Great Nation and the other forces, who came looking for trouble. Prince Jean couldn't help but shiver. Could it be that this Princess Linyue wanted to challenge him? He had no chance of winning against Princess Linyue, who was at the true mystic rank. Prince Jin's bloodline might be strong, but Princess Linyue was stronger than him. In terms of cultivation, Princess Linyue was also a level higher than him. Thankfully, Princess Linyue had no intention to challenge Prince Jean. In her opinion, Prince Jin's background was hard to know, and he had lost her many times. He was not worth a fight. Her true opponent was Xian Wuheng. She even wanted to challenge Mo Tianyi. Soon, a man and a woman walked out of the Purple Rising Great Kingdom. They were the 4th and 5th geniuses of the country, Kuli and Fan Xiaoye. The cultivation of the two were at the late stage and early stage true human rank respectively. This ranking corresponded to Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin's ranking in Canopy Great Country. According to past experience, the Canopy 10 stars weren't a match for the Purple Rise 10 stars at all. Zhao Feng, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly felt a battle intent coming from a silver-robed youth opposite him. Blue-haired brat, come out and fight. Kuli's face was filled with impatience. He couldn't even be bothered to say any polite words. If it wasn't for Princess Linyue's instructions, he wouldn't have paid attention to Zhao Feng. Kuli had the right to be proud. He had participated in the last Sacred True Dragon Gathering and reached the top 300. Half a year ago, in the Purple Rising Great Country, he killed a peak true human rank bandit and chased him for thousands of miles to take his head. After that, Kuli's fame spread far and wide. Now that he was asked to challenge a newcomer with a lower cultivation than him, he naturally had no interest at all. While Kuli was shouting, he didn't notice that the Canopy 10 stars, led by Prince Jean and company, were gloating. Tian Yunji, Jiang Sanfeng, and the others wore playful expressions on their faces. All these details fell into Princess Linyue's eyes, and she revealed a trace of astonishment. On the side of the Iron Dragon Country, Zhao Feng, Baimua's heart jumped, and his expression changed dramatically. He took a deep breath and stared at the blue-haired youth in the Canopy Great Country camp. What happened? Lu Long, the other representative of the Iron Dragon Country, noticed the change in Baimua's expression. Nothing, I just saw an acquaintance. Baimua focused on the situation over there. The level of the 3 great countries in the northern continent was far from what the two of them could reach. At this moment, the situation here had attracted the attention of many geniuses on the Northern Star stand. Zhao Feng sat in his original position, indifferent to Kuli's rude challenge. He even cast his gaze towards another corner. Senior brother Baimua, we meet again. How was the Broken Moon clan of the 13 countries? A voice rang out in Baimua's mind. Baimua's heart trembled. When Zhao Feng communicated with him, Lu Long and even true Lord Taishao didn't sense it. It was hard to imagine that junior brother Zhao would be able to communicate with him so casually in the face of a challenge. Zhao Feng, the purple rising great country and canopy great country have dealings with each other. This is a friendly spar, so go ahead. It won't waste much of your time. Seeing the cold atmosphere, Prince Jean smiled and tried to smooth things over. After all, he was the leader of the canopy great country. Prince Jin's words made the eyebrows of the geniuses of the purple rising great country furrow in puzzlement. Why did it feel like this youth needed Prince Jean to persuade him? It was as if he was saying, "Go ahead, it won't take up much of your time anyways." Preposterous. Anger rose in Kuli's heart. Prince Jean and Zhao Feng's expressions were filled with disdain towards him. Forget about Prince Jean, the other party was stronger than him. His opponent should be Princess Lin Yue. But what right did this blue-haired youth have? Ha. Blue-hair brat, you're called Zhao Feng, right? If you can last 10 moves against me, I'll lose. Kuli laughed instead of being angry as a silver-white robe fluttered in the wind. A layer of red and green chi patterns appeared around his body, stacking and forming dozens of flaming saber patterns. It was like a flaming saber wind formation, sweeping 100 feet in all directions. Normal true human rank cultivators would probably be turned to ashes if they came within 10 yards of him. Not only that, but a crimson-black saber also appeared in his palm. The surface of the saber was covered in dense fire patterns. Countless flame, wave, saber patterns soared into the sky. Looks like Kuli's serious now. He's actually pushed the scarlet flame symbol to the 7th level. Along with the dark-marked flaming blade, his strength can almost challenge normal true mystic ranks. Those from the purple, rising great country looked gloatingly at Zhao Feng. But they found that the geniuses from a canopy great country also had playful gazes. Brother Zhao, watch out. That guy's battle power is terrifying, not good. He's coming straight over. Benoit's expression changed dramatically as he told Zhao Feng through mental energy. Perhaps feeling the threat, Zhao Feng finally turned his gaze towards Kuli. One glance is all I need to beat you. Zhao Feng's left eye seemed to extend a limitless expanse of ice. Eye of Heart. One of Zhao Feng's 3 eye bloodline techniques was instantly unleashed. Kuli's gaze couldn't help but fall into the endless blue world, and his expression became dazed. The next scene stunned the geniuses present. Dang! The scarlet-black blade in Kuli's hand fell to the ground, and his chi of true spirit dissipated. Pa! Kuli raised his hand and slapped himself repeatedly. Tinger, it's my fault. I'm an animal, and I shouldn't have let you down. You married that traitor, suffered all kinds of torture, and died. It's all my fault. At this point in time, a loud slap sounded across the Northern Star stand. Kuli slapped himself, and his face soon became swollen and blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Plop! Finally, he knelt on the ground and cried. On the purple rising great kingdom's side, everyone turned pale with fright and shouted. However, Kuli was immersed in his own emotions and didn't sense the outside world. Kuli lost. Princess Lin Yue glanced deeply at Zhao Feng before telling people to carry Kuli away. From the beginning to the end, Zhao Feng sat on the ground and only glanced at Kuli. The Eye of Heart targeted the 7 emotions and 6 desires of a person. No living being didn't have emotions and had no flaws in their heart. Zhao Feng had opened the Eye of Heart and made the other fall into a mental barrier. Back in the Watermoon secret cave, he had used a similar technique to make Master by furiously attack the Watermoon pirate. This guy has a terrifying eye bloodline. With just a glance, he defeated Kuli a level higher. The hearts of the purple rising great country and scarlet sky, great country, shook as they were filled with wariness towards Zhao Feng. On the Iron Dragon great country's side, Benoit's heart shook. At this moment, Zhao Feng was still talking to him in the mental dimension and asking about the 13 countries and the Broken Moon clan. In other words, Zhao Feng did 2 things at once. While talking to him, he defeated Kuli in one glance. If others knew of this, their evaluation of Zhao Feng's bloodline would probably rise another level. After Kuli lost, the other opponent from the Purple Rising Great Country, Fan Xiaoya, was dazed and only reacted after a while. She soon challenged Lu Qinxin. Fan Xiaoya stared at this beautiful woman. Fan Xiaoya's appearance and demeanor made her feel inferior, even though she was also a woman. Lu Qinxin smiled, and an antique 7-string zither appeared in her hand. During the capital contest, she did not use this zither. Cultivator of the Tao of Entertainment. A sharp glint flashed through Fan Xiaoya's eyes. She didn't give Lu Qinxin a chance to play a single note. She slashed out a long and narrow crescent moon that streaked through the air, leaving behind a trail of sparks. This kind of single-target attack was fast and strong. Once a cultivator of the Tao of Entertainment started playing, the power would be terrifying. Zheng Lu Qinxin's jade fingers plucked the strings of the qin and caused the blood of many geniuses to boil. A semi-transparent string note was visible to the naked eye as it hurtled toward Fan Xia, leaving a trail of light rippling behind it. Crack! Fan Xiaoya's bluish-purple crescent moon abruptly crumbled as an invisible power surged into her body. Wah! Caught off guard, Fan Xiaoya spat out a mouthful of blood, and the continuous half-transparent note forced her back. In almost one move, Fan Xiaoya was defeated. The Purple Rising Great Country's side was dead silent. This Lu Qinxin is also terrifying. If she really uses her qin, she'll be able to easily face several people of the same cultivation. Princess Linyue's expression was solemn. She didn't put Zhao Feng or Lu Qinxin in her eyes. What she was wary of was the overall strength of the Canopy Great Country. Prince Jin, Wang Xiaoguai, Tian Yunji, Zhao Feng, Lu Qinxin, none of them were easy to deal with. The strength of the Canopy Great Country's stars has changed greatly this time. In terms of overall strength, the Canopy Great Country suppresses the other two great countries. The forces on the Northern Star stand discussed. The upper echelon of the Canopy Great Country's face was red. In the sparring, the Canopy Great Country didn't lose a single battle and swept the other two great countries. However, in terms of leaders, the Canopy Great Country is slightly weaker. Prince Jin lost to Princess Linyue more than once. Some people saw the Canopy Great Country's weakness. As time passed, more and more strong countries, sects, and families arrived. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and didn't care about the outside world. At a certain moment, the Northern Star stand broke out into discussion. The 10,000 sword clans here. The 10,000 sword clan is the #1 sword clan of the Northern Continent. Their strength is close to the 10 great clans and can sweep any strong country. Several figures descended from the sky. The leader was a one-eyed sword cultivator whose cultivation had reached the half-step origin core realm, and his aura was even stronger than the Grand Elder of the Imperials. That old bastard has also come. The blood-hair-colored Tiamat's expression changed. In terms of strength, the 10,000 sword clan was close to a one-star clan and was even stronger than the Iron Blood religion. There were two geniuses from the 10,000 sword clan. One was an azure robe male with weird white hair. There was also a young lady in snow-white clothes who was untainted by even a speck of dust. Her eyes were deep and profound, and when they flickered from time to time, they would be as sharp as an ethereal sword. It's her. Vaimois's expression changed dramatically as he looked at the familiar girl. In the past, a girl in a plain robe had crushed all the geniuses of the 13 Clans Alliance under her feet with a sword in her hand. He instinctively looked toward Zhao Feng, but the latter had his eyes closed and didn't sense anything. Chapter 340. The white-clothed girl from the 10,000 sword clan was the former #1 genius of the 13 clans, San Yuyue. The 10,000 sword clan was the #1 sword clan of the Northern Continent and had a strong foundation. Their overall strength was only below the 10 great clans. When a sect of this level descended, the other powerful countries and sects would have to make way. The head disciple of the 10,000 sword clan, Xia Xianshang, reached the top 30 in the last Sacred True Dragon gathering. Apart from Mo Tianyi, no one in the northern continent can fight against him. The geniuses all had solemn and fearful expressions as they inspected the weird white-haired youth. Xia Xianshang was at the true mystic rank and was the #1 genius of the northern continent's sword clan. Who's that white-clothed girl? She's only at the late stages of the true human rank, but is able to become one of the 2 spots of the 10,000 sword clan. You don't know her, but she's the female genius of the 10,000 sword clan, Song Yuyue. Her talent isn't any weaker than Xia Xianshang's. Apparently, she comprehended sword intent even earlier than Xia Xianshang. The gazes of the geniuses gathered on the 2 geniuses of the 10,000 sword clan. The leaders of the 3 great countries, such as Prince Jin and Princess Linyue, smiled and greeted Xia Xianshang. Xia Xianshang smiled and nodded his head towards Princess Linyue. As for Prince Jin and company, they only had a faint impression of them, and their attitude was cold. Prince Jin was slightly unhappy, but didn't dare to show it. All 3 great countries wanted a rope in the 10,000 sword clan and didn't dare to offend them. This Song Yue was able to become one of the 2 spots of the 10,000 sword clan. Princess Linyue was surprised. In her memory, the 10,000 sword clan had 2 or 3 peak, true, human-rank geniuses whose strength was on par with Prince Jin. It was hard to imagine Song Yuyue's battle power to be able to kill her way out. Unfortunately, Zhao Feng was currently comprehending with his eyes closed and didn't see Song Yuyue. His blue hair and cold aura was different from before, so Song Yuyue didn't pay any attention to him. However, Bei Moi, who was in the corner, recognized Song Yuyue and was slightly excited. The 2 of them came from the same remote region, but now they had the opportunity to compete against each other on the stage of the same era. Life was so subtle. The other forces did not dare to challenge the 2 geniuses of the Myriad Sword sect. This was especially so for Xia Xianshang, who was a genius who had ascended to the peak of the northern continent. It was estimated that none of the geniuses present would be able to withstand his sword. On the other hand, there were a few geniuses like Princess Linyue who wanted to give it a try. At this moment, the sound of something tearing through the air came from the sky. Many geniuses from the other sects arrived one after another. Look, the people from Sky Yuan sect are here. Mo Tianyi is here. At a certain moment, the Northern Star Tower was in an uproar. Everyone raised their heads. A few huge birds appeared in the sky. Their wingspans were more than 300 feet wide. 3 or 4 of them were at the true Lord rank, and 2 of them had reached the half-step origin core realm. When these figures descended, their powerful auras suppressed the entire area. Being one of the 10 great clans, any elder from the Heavenly Yuan clan was at the true Lord rank. There were 10 disciples representing the Sky Yuan sect. The one in the lead was a handsome and extraordinary young man. His eyes seemed to be shining with a divine light, and his every movement gave people a pressure that they couldn't look him in the eye. He was like a proud son of heaven who would lead an era. He is Mo Tianyi, the legend of the northern continent. Many geniuses' breathing quickened as they revealed expressions of admiration. Some female geniuses stared at Mo Tianyi's chiseled, handsome face and his aura that seemed to look down on the stars. Their hearts beat faster and their faces blushed. After Mo Tianyi's arrival, the atmosphere on the Northern Star stand changed. He stood proudly on the spot, heroic and extraordinary, like a crane among chickens. His aura suppressed all the geniuses present. He seemed to be the leader of all the geniuses in the northern continent. No one was dissatisfied and no one challenged him. Only Xia Xianshang from the 10,000 Sword Clan faced Mo Tianyi for a breath or two. The clash of mental energy made the hearts of the nearby geniuses tremble. Only after a long time did the scene calm down. However, most of the gazes were on the 10 geniuses of the Heavenly Yuan clan. The geniuses of the Heavenly Yuan clan were all extremely strong. There were 5 or 6 peak, true, human rank cultivators, and each of them were stronger than Prince Jin. Apart from Mo Tianyi, there was also an elegant girl from the Heavenly Yuan clan that attracted everyone's attention. The young girl was intelligent and beautiful. When she smiled sweetly, She had a beauty that could topple nations. She wore a light purple dress that was like smoke, and her skin had a strange luster to it. She was like a beauty made of ice and jade. It's her, Zhao Yufei. Beimoi and Song Yiyue's eyes landed on the purple dress girl. The situation of the 13 countries had changed drastically. Many geniuses had left. Beimoi had betrayed with Haiyan Master. Song Yiyue had successfully entered the #1 sword clan of the northern continent. Zhao Feng had become the chapter leader of the Iron Blood religion. Of the three, Song Yiyue's fortune was better than Zhao Feng and Beimoi's. However, no one would have thought that a beauty like Zhao Yufei would have even greater fortune. The 10 great clans were ancient forces that stood at the peak of the continent. The Heavenly Yuan clan and 10,000 Sword clan have arrived. Almost all the forces of the northern continent have arrived. Many gazes scan the scene. There's still one more. Princess Linyue's eyes scanned across the scene. Who's missing? There's still the 10,000 Origin clan. They're even older than the Heavenly Yuan clan. Princess Linyue said solemnly. As soon as she finished speaking, the sound of flying appeared. A weird scarlet cloud flew over. It was dozens of yards wide, and a few figures could be seen on it. Looking closely, one would find that the scarlet cloud was formed from countless scarlet metal threads. The 10,000 Origin clan has also arrived. The geniuses of the Heavenly Yuan clan and 10,000 Sword clan all looked over. In the northern continent, the 10,000 Origin clan had the longest inheritance and was on par with the 10,000 Sword clan. There weren't many people from the 10,000 Origin clan, only 3. One of them was a wrinkled old man and 2 males. One of them was a youth with curly hair who stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were deep, and his cultivation had reached the true mystic rank. The other was a green-robed youth who looked ordinary. His eyes were closed, and he was completely unremarkable. Most of the gazes were attracted by the true mystic rank. However, only a few peak geniuses, such as Mo Tianyi, Xia Xinshang, Princess Linyue and company had their gazes locked onto the second azure-robed youth. This youth's clothing and face were too normal and could be easily overlooked. Xi and Wuheng. Battle intent surged in Tian Yunji's eyes, and the azure blade on his back started to hum. Xi and Wuheng? He's the genius that has shaken the northern continent. This Xi and Wuheng has become the head disciple of the 10,000 Origin clan before he's even 20. In the same generation, he's only lost to Mo Tianyi. Apparently, Princess Linyue, Prince Jin, and other geniuses of the northern continent have all lost to him. Many geniuses stared at Xi and Wuheng with wide eyes. However, Xi and Wuheng's face and clothing were too normal, and his eyes were closed. Who is this Xi and Wuheng? Why do I feel like he's the same type of person as Brother Zhao? Beimoi and Song Yiyue didn't know Xi and Wuheng. Back then in Sun Feather City, Xi and Wuheng was a mysterious genius. At the Genius Summit, he and Zhao Feng tied for first and was known as Xi and Wuheng in 10 moves. However, after that Genius Summit, Xi and Wuheng mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind an unsolved mystery. What was even more unknown was that, at the Genius Summit back then, Xi and Wuheng had suppressed his cultivation from start to finish, including when he fought with Zhao Feng. Only Zhao Feng's God Spiritual, I had sensed this. Xi and Wuheng, we meet again. Zhao Yufei's clear eyes were deep as she muttered to herself. She had entered the northern continent for a period of time and had even personally witnessed Xi and Wuheng and Mo Tianyi's battle. In Zhao Yufei's heart, there was an invincible figure who was calm and always breaking legends and creating miracles. Even that person had only fought Xi and Wuheng to a draw back then. Brother Zhao Feng, are you not going to appear at the sacred True Dragon gathering? Zhao Yufei's eyes turned as she started to search for the figures of the geniuses present. She didn't believe that with Zhao Feng's talent, he wouldn't have the right to participate in the sacred True Dragon gathering unless he wasn't interested. Thus, Zhao Yufei started a search. The Northern Star stand had a radius of 10 miles, and several hundred geniuses were scattered around. It wasn't easy to find one person, as there were many camps blocking one's vision. Zhao Yufei bit her teeth and walked out of the Heavenly Yuan clan's camp and started a search. Sister Yufei, who are you looking for? I'll go with you. Mo Tianyi smiled faintly and walked over. In the clan, the two were disciples of sovereigns, and their statuses were close. At a certain moment, Zhao Yufei's footsteps suddenly stopped when she reached the Canopy Great Country's camp. Mo Tianyi's here. Who's that girl? She's so beautiful, and she's with Mo Tianyi. Prince Jean and the other geniuses were dazed and had the feeling that a goddess was looking at them. What's wrong, sister? Did you find the person? Mo Tianyi was slightly curious. He only had a slight impression of Prince Jean amongst the geniuses of the Canopy Great Country, but it wasn't worth mentioning. Zhao Yufei's eyes scanned across the Canopy Great Country's 10 stars and unnoticeably stopped on a blue-haired youth. Apart from that, she also looked at Lu Qinxin with surprise. The latter's looks were rare. Let's go look elsewhere. Zhao Yufei smiled sweetly, causing all the flowers in the world to lose their splendor, causing all the men present to lose their souls. At this moment, she seemed to have received some good news and was overjoyed. Okay, Mo Tianyi faintly nodded his head, and in the instant he turned around, he glanced at the blue-haired youth. Zhao Yufei's minute movements didn't escape Mo Tianyi's powerful eyes. Who's that blue-haired youth? Sister Yufei doesn't want to disturb him? Although Mo Tianyi was curious, he didn't ask. This should be her secret. Prince Jean and the other geniuses watched the two leave and felt flattered. After all, they were able to receive the attention of the legend of the northern continent, Mo Tianyi. She knows Zhao Feng? Of the 10 stars, only Lu Qinxin noticed Zhao Yufei's minute movements. Chapter 341. 5 days later, more and more people gathered on the Northern Star Stand. The geniuses of the northern continent had all gathered here. The Heavenly Yuan clan, the 3 great countries, the other strong countries. The entire northern continent has arrived. Princess Linyue's eyes scanned across the crowd. Although she was the princess of a great country, she had the heart of man and knew the geniuses of the northern continent like the back of her hand. On the Canopy Great Country's side, Prince Jean faintly nodded his head. Most of them have arrived. We're just waiting for the Northern Star Stand to connect to the Sacred Alliance. Once the Northern Star Stand connected to the Sacred Alliance's teleportation array, it meant that the sacred True Dragon Gathering was about to begin. Over the past few days, the clans had sparred and probed each other. Some unfamiliar geniuses would be challenged in order to find out who they were. Therefore, Song Yue, Zhao Yufei, and a few other geniuses had all sparred. What was surprising was that many of the new geniuses had unimaginably high battle power. Song Yue's mastery of the sword was shocking. Several people of the same cultivation and even a peak true human rank that challenged her were slain in one sword. Her opponents were all slain in one sword. What terrifying sword intent! Such an extreme sword style. Tian Yunji saw Song Yue's mastery of the sword and couldn't help but take a cold breath. No one doubted that she would be able to become one of the 10,000 sword clans' top 2 spots. After all, Song Yue had once stood at the peak of the 13 clans and comprehended sword intent at a much younger age than Xia Xinshan. Back at the 13 clan alliance, even Zhao Feng had almost lost to her. Zhao Yufei's performance was also impressive as she easily defeated several probing opponents. As her bloodline awakened, her speed of gathering true force and recovery was shocking, and she even had explosive power. What was worth mentioning was that the second-ranked genius of the Purple Rising Great Country, whose strength was close to Prince Jean, was defeated by Zhao Yufei. Apart from that, Tian Yunji and Princess Lin Yue both issued challenges to the legendary genius, Xian Wuheng. The result was that Tian Yunji was defeated by Xian Wuheng in 10 moves. The result of Princess Lin Yue's challenge was the same as the previous time. She fought a lily and was unable to force Xian Wuheng to use a second hand. This Xian Wuheng is using only one hand to deal with me. Unfortunately, I can't use my trump cards so easily. Princess Lin Yue's phoenix eyes roamed, and she stared at Exan Wuheng frequently. She was unwilling to accept this. However, Exan Wuheng sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, completely ignoring her. It was a pity. In the past few days, Zhao Feng had been sitting cross-legged in meditation and had missed many exciting battles. At this moment, he was wholeheartedly cultivating and comprehending. He didn't even notice the arrival of Zhao Yufei, Exan Wuheng, and the others. Rumble. Thunder roared in the sky, and it suddenly began to rain heavily. Some of the geniuses were caught off guard and were drenched. Thunderstorm. Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes. He was in the middle of cultivating and comprehending. He touched the rich lightning yuan qi in the sky, and it was very familiar. After nearly 2 months of hard work, Zhao Feng's cultivation had improved greatly. On one hand, his cultivation was high and his senses were strong, allowing him to capture the heaven-earth lightning yuan qi. Furthermore, there was a weird source of true spirit sealed within Zhao Feng's body that came from the Water Moon Pirate. That source of true spirit was close to the true Lord rank, and a strand of it could greatly increase Zhao Feng's comprehension and foundation. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng's cultivation was close to the late stages of the true human rank. Zhao Feng's lightning inheritance and ancient eye soul had both reached the peak, but he was blocked by a higher mountain. How long until the sacred true dragon gathering? Zhao Feng's eyes scanned across the crowd. Chapter leader, you're finally awake. The Northern Star Stand will be able to connect to the Sacred Alliance in about 10 days. Jiang Sanfeng answered. Xian Wuheng, Song Yue, Yufei. Zhao Feng scanned the crowd and found quite a few pleasant surprises. A pleased smile appeared on his face. At the same time, on the 10,000 Origin Clan side, Xian Wuheng, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly sensed something. Xian Wuheng, we meet again. A voice sounded in Xian Wuheng's mind. Xian Wuheng was slightly startled as he opened his deep and boundless eyes. His eyes were mysterious and contained a hint of age. It wasn't something a younger generation member should have. Back then, I knew that we would meet again sooner or later. Xian Wuheng's expression was a little shocked, but there was also a little emotional sigh. Back at the Genius Summit, he had suppressed his cultivation by 1 level and fought to a draw with Zhao Feng before decisively running away from the cloud area. At this moment, a weird scene appeared on the Northern Star Stand. 2 youths sitting cross-legged opened their eyes at almost the same time and sighed with complex expressions. Chapter leader Zhao, Exan Wuheng? Jiang Sanfeng said in surprise. At the same time, Princess Linyue noticed this detail. Zhao Feng and Exan Wuheng's eyes looked at each other with joy and happiness. Looks like I've still underestimated this youth. Just based on his friendship with Exan Wuheng that he hasn't met in a long time, Princess Linyue's eyes twinkled. These details also fell into the eyes of many geniuses. Zhao Feng, losing to you in the past forced me to cultivate bitterly and sharpen my sword even more. I'll use the sword in my hand to take back that humiliating time. Song Yue's cold voice sounded. Her gaze seemed to contain a sword that could pierce through space and made the nearby geniuses' hearts go cold. Shua shua. Many gazes landed on Zhao Feng's face, filled with shock and curiosity. What kind of secrets did this youth have? Even the powerful Song Yue had lost him. Even the unfathomable Xian Wuheng had reunited with him. This sacred true dragon gathering has given me many surprises and opponents. Zhao Feng's smile was filled with expectation. He wasn't scared of fighting Song Yue and was even looking forward to fighting Xian Wuheng, a legendary genius. The rain was still falling from the sky. Yufei. Zhao Feng's voice once again sounded in Zhao Yufei's mind. The two started to communicate through mental energy. The smile on Zhao Yufei's face was more than in the past 2 months. All of this fell into Mo Tiany's eyes. For some reason, Mo Tiany suddenly became interested in the blue-haired youth. Wei Yunqi, go test that blue-haired brat's strength. Mo Tiany messaged a core disciple behind him. Yes, Wei Yunqi was slightly flattered. The competition for the sacred true dragon gathering was fierce, and although he was at the peak true mystic rank, he was only ranked ninth. A prodigy like Mo Tianyi was a legendary genius of the northern continent and the disciple of the sovereign. To Wei Yunqi, he was out of reach. Soon, Wei Yunqi walked towards the canopy Great Countries group, core disciple of the heavenly Yuan clan. The expressions of Prince Jin and company changed. The 10 great clans were existences that even the 3 great countries could only look up to. This brother Zhao Feng seems to be mysterious, and his background isn't simple. This Wei's heart is itching, and I want to challenge you. Wei Yunqi's words were very courteous. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed slightly. He didn't like this kind of random challenge. You're here to test me again? He slowly stood up and decided to move his body. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye quickly scanned over Wei Yunqi and could estimate his strength. This person's cultivation was the same as Prince Jin, but he didn't have a bloodline inheritance. His skills might be more profound, but his overall strength should be on the same level as Prince Jin or slightly weaker. Those below the true mystic rank could be killed by Zhao Feng in one glance. That's good too. The Mystic Flower Treasured Bible has merged with the Lightning Inheritance, and I've comprehended many things. I'll use him. Zhao Feng stood up. At this moment in time, many peak geniuses of the northern continent looked over, including Princess Lin Yue, Xian Wuheng, Song Yue, and Mo Tianyi. Brother Zhao's age and cultivation are both lower than mine. This way will let you have 10 moves first. Wei Yunqi had a smile on his face. He didn't understand Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's age, cultivation, and experience were all higher, and he obviously didn't want to bully the young. Sure, Zhao Feng didn't reject. Chill. The moment he finished speaking, an azure bolt of lightning flashed through the air, and Zhao Feng vanished. Not good. Wei Yunqi's eyes blurred as he felt a numbing sensation coming from his side and cursed in his heart. He instinctively circulated his qi of true spirit, and a wave of true spirit swept out in all directions and sent anything that came close to him flying. Phew! The phantom of lightning that had just appeared behind Wei Yunqi was instantly shaken away. This brat's speed is weird. He let out a breath and blamed himself for underestimating the enemy. Wei Yunqi didn't realize that everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared in the direction of his head. Teleportation, lightning step. A phantom figure appeared above Wei Yunqi's head as if it had teleported out of thin air. What? Wei Yunqi was stunned. The numbing sensation on his head was so clear that he could even see a pair of footprints in the corner of his eyes. Break! He bellowed in shock, his claw unleashing a dazzling azure blur as he lunged at Zhao Feng. In the end, he missed. The silhouette above his head disappeared in a flash. Teleportation, lightning step. A blue-haired figure surrounded in lightning appeared behind him. Not only that, but the figure of the youth was also closely attached to him. Chains of lightning wrapped around him. The blue-haired youth's back was against him as thick chains of lightning wrapped around Wei Yunqi. Arg! Wei Yunqi's body trembled as he was wrapped by the layers of lightning and couldn't resist at all. Plop! A breath or two later, Wei Yunqi's body was burnt black and he fell to the ground, giving off black smoke. At this point in time, the blue-haired youth's back was still facing him, and a weird smile appeared on his face which made the spectators tremble. Even with Wei Yunqi's peak, true, human rank strength, he's being toyed with by this brat. What terrifying speed. He's merged with the essence of lightning, and there's so much more to it. On the canopy Great Countries side, Prince Jin's mouth dropped open as cold sweat appeared on his back. Wei Yunqi's strength isn't much weaker than mine. Just how much strength is this Zhao Feng hiding? In reality, Zhao Feng didn't hide much of his strength at the capital struggle. It was just that he had been improving the whole time. Not bad. Mo Tianyi took back his gaze. He had roughly understood Zhao Feng's strength and no longer had any interest on his face. Chapter 342. Zhao Feng's speed and lightning skills made the geniuses click their tongues. Even some of the leaders were wary. Although Wei Yunqi was ranked 9th amongst the core disciples of the Heavenly Yuan clan, He could be ranked first or second in other strong countries. Such an elite had been defeated by Zhao Feng in an instant. In the process of defeating Wei Yunqi, Zhao Feng indeed didn't use any moves. His usage of lightning had reached a godly level. This was due to the merging of the essence of the mystic flower treasured Bible, which made the core of the lightning inheritance more practical. He doesn't just specialize in our bloodline techniques. This makes him hard to deal with. Princess Linyua's expression became solemn. She finally realized that the strongest star of the Canopy Great Country wasn't Prince Jean or Tian Yunji, but this unfathomable blue-haired youth like Xian Wuing. On the Heavenly Yuan clan side, Brother Mo, that brat's pretty interesting. His strength might be close to Xian Wuheng and Xia Xinshang's. A true mystic rank yellow-faced man said solemnly. The yellow-faced man was ranked second amongst the core disciples of the Heavenly Yuan clan, just below Mo Tianyi. Just then, the yellow-faced man had seriously watched the battle between Zhao Feng and Wei Yunqi and was surprised. Zhao Feng was like child's play and used his speed and lightning skills to defeat Wei Yunqi without even using his hands. Coincidentally, he was familiar with Wei Yunqi and knew the latter's battle style. Unless the opponent had overwhelming power, he wouldn't be defeated so quickly. This Zhao Feng's still young and is much weaker than Xia Xinshang and Xian Wuing. His strength might be close to Princess Linyua's level. On the stage of the sacred True Dragon Gathering, just relying on speed would result in an ugly death. With his strength, he'll only be able to reach the top 50, and that'll depend on luck. Mo Tianyi shook his head faintly. The corner of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Putting aside Zhao Feng, even prodigies like Xia Xinshang and Xian Wuheng had lost him. Mo Tianyi stood with his hands behind his back, looking down at the geniuses with a faint sense of loneliness. The yellow-faced man was slightly startled, but then he smiled and said, "That's right, I misjudged Senior Brother Mo's level. In the northern continent, Senior Brother Mo is already invincible." Mo Tianyi's level and vision were far beyond their level. After all, he was already standing at the peak of the northern continent's geniuses. My true opponents are Yu Qianhao, Tantai Lan Yue, and the other overwhelming prodigies. Mo Tianyi gazed into the distance with a flickering light in his eyes. At this moment, there was a rare passion and fighting spirit in his eyes. Senior Brother is talking about the Azure Flower Continent's 5 overwhelming prodigies. The yellow-faced man and the people around him could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. 5 peerless prodigies. The core disciples of the Heaven Yuan sect were shocked as they looked at Mo Tianyi with even more respect and admiration. At this moment, Mo Tianyi was right in front of them, but he gave them the feeling that he was so far away. The 5 overwhelming prodigies were the 5 legends that stood at the peak of the Azure Flower Continent. All of them were blessed by the heavens and could be said to be the prodigies of the heavens. There were diviners who said that the 5 overwhelming prodigies would all have unparalleled potential in the future. The 5 overwhelming prodigies are the Middle Continent's Yu Qianhao, the Eastern Continent's Tantai Lan Yue, the Western Continent's Shi Qingtian, the Southern Continent's Taiyun Shuangzi, and the extreme North Goddess Bingwei. The core disciples of the Heaven Yuan sect had all heard of them. When these 5 were mentioned, everyone's heart jumped. How strong are these peerless geniuses? Zhao Yufei couldn't help but be curious. Very, very strong. So strong that 99% of the geniuses of the northern continent can't even take one move from them. Especially the first place of the last sacred True Dragon Gathering, Yu Tianhao. Mo Tianyi took a deep breath and clenched his fists, lightly trembling. Even now, the scene of the last sacred True Dragon Gathering was still replaying in his mind. The yellow-faced man didn't say anything. He had also participated in the last sacred True Dragon Gathering. At that time, only 3 of the 5 overwhelming prodigies were born. Both him and Mo Tianyi had lost badly. Brother Mo, you weren't even the head disciple back then, and your strength has risen dramatically in 10 years. You can at least reach the top 10 in this sacred True Dragon Gathering and have the right to compete with these overwhelming prodigies. The yellow-faced man laughed. The rain was still falling, and the geniuses gathered in the Northern Star stand had stopped sparring. At this point in time, the scouting of the geniuses of the Northern Continent had basically finished. The geniuses discussed, and the topic moved from the geniuses of the Northern Continent to the geniuses of the entire continent. 5 overwhelming prodigies? Zhao Feng occasionally heard a few voices. Even Prince Jin, Jiang Sanfeng, and company would occasionally mention the names of the 5 overwhelming prodigies. Time passed by slowly. The day of a Northern Star stand connecting to the sacred zone was approaching. On this day, suddenly, a cold current surged over from the northern region. The vast and varied essence energy of the world froze for some reason. Many of the people present suddenly shivered. With strong coldness, Zhao Feng felt a cold current and couldn't help but raise his head and look into the distance with his left eye. A cold current and an invisible cold might surged over from afar, toppling mountains and overturning seas. On the Northern Star stand, some true Lord ranks, and even those at the half-step origin core realm, sensed it and stood up. Xiuhu, a beautiful ball of blue ice light, flew through the air. From afar, it looked like a disk made of ice crystals, causing a freezing current to rush towards the Northern Star stand. The speed of the blue light was almost 10 times faster than the Iron Blood Religion's Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan. In the blink of an eye, the blue light carried more than a dozen figures and landed on the Northern Star stand. The terrifying cold air currents scattered everywhere. The blood of the geniuses present almost froze, and some of them screamed, but couldn't make a sound. In an instant, the entire Northern Star stand turned into a sparkling ice field. The rain from the past few days had all turned into ice and snow. Zhao Feng's blood and qi of true spirit seemed to freeze, and his limbs went cold. Luckily, the faint blue blood within his body seemed to be excited and started to merge with the coldness. Not many of the geniuses from the Northern Continent are good enough. A cold female voice came from the dissipating blue ice light. When the blue light faded, more than a dozen figures appeared. Most of them were young men and women. The one at the front was a beauty in white who held an ice-bone staff and had a phoenix king crown on her head. Her aura was otherworldly, and she seemed to be a queen of ice and snow. The ice-bone staff in her hand lightly trembled, and the coldness that covered the sky started to fade. The true Lord ranks present all acted as if they had been pardoned. Greetings, Sovereign. Greetings, Mystic Ice Queen. The true Lord ranks of the Heavenly Yuan clan and the 3 great countries were full of respect and bowed. Wherever the Ice Queen, who was holding the ice bone, stood, 10 miles of the North Star platform turned into an ice region. This was merely the cold air of the extreme north that she had intentionally or unintentionally dispersed when she flew over. If this Mystic Ice Queen really wanted to attack, everything within 10 miles of the Northern Star stand would be instantly frozen. At that time, apart from the Deputy Patriarch of the Iron Blood Religion and a few other experts at the half-step origin core realm, no one would be able to escape. Zhao Feng took in a cold breath. His eyesight was the strongest, and he saw everything clearly. The Mystic Ice Queen didn't purposely release any coldness, but she still turned the entire Northern Star stand into ice. Dispense with the formalities. The Mystic Ice Queen faintly waved her hand and only replied to a few elders from the Heavenly Yuan clan, 10,000 Origin clan, and 10,000 Sword clan. What made the experts feel weird was that the Mystic Ice Queen even said a few words to Tiamo. Tiamo seemed to know the Mystic Ice Queen and was respectful. Mystic Ice Queen, this is a legendary sovereign at the Origin core realm. In the corner, Bei Mua's heart shook, and he found it hard to breathe. He felt his blood and qi of true spirit freeze, and he couldn't feel his limbs. True Lord Tiexiao's eyes were filled with shock and respect. He didn't even have the courage to go up and greet the Mystic Ice Queen. The Mystic Ice Queen is a sovereign from the extreme north. There's a teleportation platform there. Why would she come here? That's right. Why would someone from the Mystic Ice Palace come here? After a short uproar, discussions broke out below. The Mystic Ice Palace was one of the 10 great clans, like the Heavenly Yuan clan. This clan was located in the extreme north and could barely be seen as a part of the northern continent. However, the Mystic Ice Palace rarely interacted with the other forces of the northern continent and were on their own. This time, the Mystic Ice Palace came to the Northern Star stand. The Mystic Ice Palace was on the same level as the Heavenly Yuan clan and had 10 geniuses. Of the 10 geniuses, the majority were females and the minority were males. The top disciple of the Mystic Ice Palace was a beautiful ice beauty. Her eyes were cold, and her skin seemed to be made of smooth snow jade. It was perfect and bone-chilling. Goddess Bingwei. Mo Tianyi's voice was hoarse as he spat out these 4 words. Goddess Bingwei, one of the 5 overwhelming prodigies. The hearts of the geniuses of the northern continent shook as they inspected the icy beauty. Goddess Bingwei sat on the spot with a half-transparent coldness around her. Even the 2 true mystic rank geniuses didn't dare to come close. Shua, Goddess Bingwei's cold eyes suddenly scanned across the geniuses. Instantly, the geniuses felt their minds freeze and couldn't say a single word. Their chi of true spirit seemed to be frozen. What a terrifying girl. Even those at the peak true mystic rank of the older generation felt a coldness that made their hearts go cold. They couldn't resist it. All those under the true lord rank were pressured by Goddess Bingwei's coldness. Even someone as strong as Mo Tianyi clenched his teeth and resisted the coldness. Xia Xianshang and Xian Wuheng couldn't resist it head-on and could only look at Goddess Bingwei's beauty. The 5 overwhelming prodigies are too strong. How can this be the power of the younger generation? Zhao Feng felt the pressure of a true lord rank and obviously couldn't take it head-on. At this moment, he finally understood what blood-haired Tiamat had said to him. Tiamat didn't expect him to be at the top. Reaching the top 100 would be enough, and reaching the top 50 would be good. Top 20 was impossible, and as for top 10 or first, that was just wishful thinking. Goddess Bingwei scanned the crowd, but didn't say anything. Bingwei, how is it? The Mystic Ice Queen smiled. No opponent. My only opponent in the continent is Yu Qianhao. Goddess Bingwei took back her gaze and was slightly disappointed. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have come to the northern continent. Chapter 343. The terrifying strength of the overwhelming prodigy made the hearts of the geniuses of the northern continent tremble as they were unable to block the cold aura. Only Mo Tianyi could barely block it. At this point in time, waves of shock swept through the hearts of the geniuses of the northern continent as their confidence and fighting spirit received a heavy blow. In reality, the northern continent had Mo Tianyi, Xia Xianshang, and other peak geniuses, as well as Xian Wuheng, Song Yuyue, and Zhao Feng. In other words, Mo Tianyi's generation wasn't weak and had reached the peak of previous generations. However, they were both lucky and unlucky. At this time, the Azure Flower Continent was welcoming the peak of dozens of generations, or else the chances of the heavens' legacy inheritance connecting wouldn't be so high. Overwhelming prodigies usually only appear once in several generations. For example, the Sword Saint Yi Wuxia, the Three-Eyed Sky Sovereign, the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch, etc. But in this generation, 5 overwhelming prodigies have appeared at the same time. Bloodhair colored Tiamat's eyes twinkled with expectation and worry. Every peerless prodigy was able to suppress several eras. But in this generation, 5 had appeared at once. Especially this generation's Yu Qianhao, who was said to have suppressed dozens of generations and surpassed the Sword Saint Yi Wuxia, leading an unprecedented era. She just used a special method to merge the coldness of her true spirit into the air and use a mental energy secret technique to release it. Anyone who looks at her will be able to sense her power. Then, based on the clash of spiritual energy, she can determine the opponent in a certain area. Zhao Feng calmed down and analyzed. Through this secret technique, Goddess Bingwei concluded that no one in the northern continent was her match. The invisible clash of spirit and qi activity proved everything. Be it Zhao Feng, Xian Wuheng, Princess Lin Yue, Prince Jin, Song Yue, and company, they all lost. If it was Zhao Feng, he wouldn't need to go through so much trouble. With a sweep of his god's spiritual eye, all existences under the origin core realm, including their bloodlines and inheritances, were all revealed. But Zhao Feng didn't dare to do this unless he had the strength of an overwhelming prodigy like Goddess Bing Wei. Late-stage true human rank cultivation, a powerful bloodline, and a pure skill that surpasses all the geniuses here, including me. Zhao Feng carefully opened his god's spiritual eye and analyzed Goddess Bing Wei's strength. First was his cultivation. Goddess Bing Wei was at the late stages of the true human rank and was close to the peak, surpassing all the younger generation present. Secondly, it was his bloodline, which was also top-notch, stronger than Prince Jin, Wang Xiaoguai, and the others. Only Mo Tianyi's art purity was close to hers. After all, they were both head disciples of the top 10 sections. The previous head disciples of the profound Ice Palace were all very strong. This was because the mystic Ice Palace controlled one of the 4 great inheritances, the mystic Ice Inheritance, which could be opened once every few decades. Apparently, Goddess Bing Wei obtained some of the essence of the profound Ice Inheritance. Jiang Sanfeng couldn't help but sigh with envy. Zhao Feng had also heard of this. Although he had obtained the strongest inheritance of the floating Crest Palace and the essence of the Water Moon Treasury, it wasn't even worth mentioning compared to the Mystic Ice Inheritance. To be titled an overwhelming prodigy, any one of them had great fortune that surpassed Zhao Feng by more than 10 times. Maybe I won't be able to reach the top in this sacred true dragon gathering, but being born in this great era is a blessing. The most important thing is that I can connect to even stronger inheritances. Zhao Feng's heart calmed down, and his expression became cold. In next to no time, he closed his eyes and started to meditate and comprehend. Tiamat saw Zhao Feng's change in heart and couldn't help but nod his head. This Zhao Feng's mentality is very good. Because of Goddess Bing Wei's appearance, the overwhelming prodigy's power had caused many geniuses' emotions to fluctuate greatly. Some fell to the lowest point, some were filled with hatred and unwillingness, etc. However, Zhao Feng's mentality was very good and accepted reality before returning to normal. At the same time, on the 10,000 Origin Clan side, even if it's me, it's still very small to get first. I'm really looking forward to this era. Xian Wuheng's normal face was expressionless. His heart hadn't wavered at all, as if he had experienced countless ups and downs in life. Xian Wuheng also closed his eyes and immersed himself in his own world. Time passed by slowly. The geniuses on the Northern Star stand were silent. Everyone was waiting. 3 days later, the surface of a Northern Star stand's white crystalline stone platform was surrounded by a layer of sparkling white light. At the start, the white light was slightly dim, but it became brighter and brighter. At a certain moment, Wang at the center of the Northern Star stand, a layer of white light condensed on the pure black stone door, filling the entire door. The Northern Star Gate has opened. The sacred True Dragon Gathering is about to begin. Everyone, get ready. Led this great era, the Northern Star stand broke out in cheers. There were several hundred geniuses gathered here. This was the first time most of them were participating in the sacred True Dragon Gathering, and their hearts were filled with excitement. Maybe not everyone could compete for the top 10 or top 100, but to most geniuses, being able to display their skills on the stage where all the top geniuses of the continent gathered and blossomed for a moment was enough to die with no regrets. Wang, the pure black door at the center, gave off a white light that became brighter and brighter. At the end, the white light covered the entire Northern Star stand, as if welcoming a new era. Everyone on the continent. The sacred True Dragon Gathering is about to begin. Through the stone door, you will be able to enter the ancient arena. A majestic voice came from the ancient and pure black stone door. This voice was extremely bright and seemed to come from the other side of time and space. Let's go. The Mystic Ice Queen waved her hand, and the representatives of the Mystic Ice Palace all passed through the white light. Shwa, shwa, shwa. These figures would instantly disappear the moment they touched the stone door. The white light on the northern star stand became brighter and brighter. Everyone found that the bottom of their feet had started to form an array. The entire northern star stand suddenly shook and released a white light that shot into the sky. What's this sign? The hearts of the Mystic Ice Queen, the elders of the heavenly Yuan clan, and blood hair, colored Tiamat, and company shook. In that instant, the white light soared into the sky, faintly forming the silhouette of a huge dragon. At the same time, in the eastern continent, the western continent, the northern continent, the southern continent, and even the central continent, an illusory dragon image appeared in the sky. 5 sparkling, illusionary dragons entangled in the air above the green flower continent, tearing at each other. However, the continent was vast, and the people on the northern star stand were like specks of dust that couldn't see the entire situation. However, just this gigantic, illusory dragon silhouette alone was enough to shock everyone present. This is genius dragon blessing. Oh my God, such a large amount of genius dragon blessing. Only in the eras of the Sword Saint Yi Wuxia and the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch had 1 or 2 genius dragons. The 5-star platforms on the continent were in an uproar, causing an uproar. If the Northern Star Stand can have a genius dragon blessing, then the Middle Continent and Eastern Continent definitely won't lose out. Blood hair colored Tiamat's expression changed dramatically. He felt that this era wasn't the same as before. According to his guesses, in this era, there were 5 overwhelming geniuses, especially Yu Qianhao, who was said to have suppressed dozens of eras. His dragon of fate could only be strong. Blood hair colored Tiamat's guess wasn't wrong. In the central continent, the fate dragon was the largest, and the light it gave off was the most brilliant. It soared into the sky void, faintly giving off an aura of supremacy and arrogance. What's the theory behind the aura of genius dragon blessing? Under Zhao Feng's curiosity, he opened his god's spiritual eye and looked through the layers of space. His god's spiritual eye was circulated to the maximum and entered a profound level. Shua, his mental energy consciousness suddenly leapt out of his body and flew into the sky. At an unimaginably high level, Zhao Feng's consciousness saw the 5 genius dragons. Canopy Great Country. A 6-sided tall tower that was as black as the night sky stood in the deep mountains. This was the legendary and mysterious 6 Warlock Divine Tower. It was the Mount Tai of the world of divination. On the 49th floor of the 6 Warlock Divine Tower stood a few figures dressed as priests. At the very front stood an ancient and tall old man. A black cloak that was as tranquil as the night covered most of his face. The people of the world could only see a pair of eyes that were as deep as the starry night. Although they seemed turbid, there was a kind of wisdom that came from the vicissitudes of life. 36 priests sat cross-legged behind the mysterious elder. Strands of silver light appeared on their bodies and merged with the endless void. At this moment in time, a screen of silver light appeared in the sky above the 6 Warlock Divine Tower. Within the screen of light, there were 5 genius dragons that were baring their fangs and claws. They were located in the middle, east, west, south, and north. Meow, a weird cat's cry, sounded through the air. A silver-black cat that was around the size of 2 adult palms appeared on the mysterious elder's shoulder. This silver-black cat had a lazy expression and squinted its eyes as it stared into the air. It raised its hand, and 5 ancient copper coins appeared in its palm. Ding, ding. Sage, do the 5 dragons of Providence represent the 5 peerless geniuses? A priestess with a face as beautiful as the night moon had a respectful expression on her face. Not exactly. The 5 genius dragons don't just represent the 5 overwhelming prodigies, but the combination of countless geniuses across the 5 zones. Of course, the 5 overwhelming prodigies each lead this generation, so they can indeed represent the 5 genius dragons. The sage smiled and said, his eyes were still staring into the air as he murmured, the chance of the heavens' legacy inheritance connecting with the continent has increased to 20%. However, there are still all sorts of variables in the mysteries of the heavens that push this great era towards an unknown direction. Look, what's that? Heavens! The priest suddenly exclaimed in surprise. The silver-black cat in front of the sage also stared at the screen of light with bulging eyes, as if it was choking. A faintly discernible eye of heaven appeared above the 5 dragons of providence. The eye of heaven appeared in the sky and coldly looked down at the 5 genius providence dragons. All the priests of the 6 warlock divine tower were stunned by this scene. However, the eye of heaven only appeared for a breath or two before disappearing, as if it was just an illusion. Chapter 344. The eye of heaven's appearance seemed to be an illusion. It coldly looked down at the 5 dragon blessings. The 5 dragon blessings were enormous and bared their fangs and claws. They didn't even notice what was happening above them. Maybe the eye of heaven didn't have the power to fight against the dragon blessings, even though it could see through heaven and earth. Sage, what was that scene just now? The pure and flawless priestess, who was as beautiful as the moon, turned pale. The priests behind her were full of confusion and confusion. One had to know that the 5 dragon blessings corresponded to the 5 overwhelming prodigies. Each of them had unparalleled power that could suppress the geniuses of several generations. Just now, an eye of heaven had appeared, and it was looking down on the 5 dragon blessings. It seemed to be above the 5 dragon blessings. It was born 2 years ago. The sage's tall figure stood at the top of the tower, and his voice was calm. His turbid eyes were filled with a mysterious and empty color. Could it be that a prodigy that can surpass the 5 dragon blessings has appeared on this continent? The high priests were shocked. If this was true, then the owner of the eye of heaven was too terrifying. Hee, you all saw the scene just now. The eye of heaven hasn't interacted with the 5 dragon blessings yet. This means that it hasn't reached a level where it can threaten the 5 overwhelming prodigies, let alone surpass them. The wise man smiled. Then what did the scene just now mean? The priestess, who was as pure and holy as the moonlight, could not help but feel curious. Even now, she was still stunned by the scene just now. The sage closed his eyes tiredly and didn't say anything else. Northern Star Stand. A massive genius blessing dragon soared into the sky, causing the entire Northern Star Stand to glow with a brilliant light. A complex and mysterious array appeared under everyone's feet. Wong, suddenly, the sparkling light that covered the entire Northern Star Stand brightened to the extreme and let out a humming sound. In the next instant, shwa, shwa, swish, the numerous figures on the Northern Star Stand disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, leaving behind a flash of white light. Even Zhao Feng was covered by a white light and disappeared. A breath or two later, the entire Northern Star Stand was dead silent, without a single person in sight. After a moment of spinning and losing his balance of gravity, Zhao Feng's feet sank, and he landed on the ground. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, rays of white light lit up the surroundings, and figures from the Northern Star Stand appeared. Thump! Some of the inexperienced newbies fell from the sky in a panic, causing them to feel dizzy. Oh my God, this is the primordial arena? A wave of shocked gasps came from all around. Zhao Feng's gaze swept across the surroundings, and his heart trembled deeply. This was a huge and majestic ancient arena. Every brick and stone contained the precipitation of time and emitted a mysterious and ancient aura. It was as if they were in an ancient mythological era. The floor of the arena was made of a mysterious and rare silver-green material. It wasn't made of metal or stone, and the markings on its surface were simple and unadorned. However, its hardness was comparable to a spirit-ranked divine weapon. The entire arena was 100 miles wide, and it shot into the sky, competing with the clouds and sunlight. It was grand and magnificent. The surroundings of the primordial Colosseum were even more magnificent and earth-shattering works. Surrounding the arena were mountains that towered into the clouds. At the edge of the mountains, there were many majestic stone statues. These stone statues ranged from tens of feet to hundreds of feet tall. The 10 tallest statues were hundreds of feet tall, and some were even close to 1,000 feet tall. Every statue was lifelike, majestic, and majestic. There were beasts, humans, aliens, and all sorts of strange shapes. It was as if they contained divine power from the ancient times. Looking at them, one's heart would feel an indescribable sense of respect, especially the 10 tallest heaven-raising stone statues. They seemed to stand side by side with the heavens and earth, majestic and boundless. They all had different expressions. Some were emotionless, some were domineering, some were carefree, and some had a sinister smile. It was as if they were illustrating the glory of a lost legend. The tens of thousands of stone statues piled up to form a boundless stone statue mountain that surrounded the ancient Colosseum. At first glance, the majestic divine power that covered the heavens and earth attacked the soul's vision. It was as if there were gods, demons, and ghosts watching the ancient arena's every move, adding a solemn feeling to it. With the current manpower, I'm afraid it would be difficult to recreate such a grand project. Zhao Feng was shocked, especially the surrounding stone statue mountain that surrounded the grand arena, as if it was continuing the ancient legend. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye had a strange throbbing and reaction. The majestic stone statues gave him the illusion that they had intelligence, as if they contained some mysterious power of nothingness. Zhao Feng shook his head. These stone statues were definitely lifeless objects. The ancient Colosseum has existed since ancient times. Its history is even as old as the continent itself. Even the 10 great sects of the continent are unable to trace its origins. Blood-hair-colored Tiamat stood beside Zhao Feng. Soon, Jiang Sanfeng, Dailan, and Dong Shui also gathered around. In a short span of 10 breaths, tens of thousands of figures appeared in the ancient arena. The geniuses from every region of the continent entered the ancient arena at the same time. It took them a while to react and regroup with their respective factions. Middle Continent, Eastern Continent, Western Continent, Southern Continent, Northern Continent. The geniuses of the 5 continents were sent to the 5 areas of the ancient arena. Boom! Above the arena, an oval-shaped ancient golden platform floated in midair with a diameter of about 10 to 20 feet. Compared to the enormous ancient arena, this stage was like a sesame seed. Shwa! 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 Suddenly, a few figures appeared on the ancient golden pedestal. They were all dressed differently. The common point was that they all had an aura that seemed to suppress the heavens and earth. Their every action merged with the heaven-earth yuan qi. It's people from a sacred alliance. Every sacred true dragon gathering is judged by the sacred alliance. The noise below the stage suddenly quieted down. This was because the cultivations of the figures on the golden stage had all surpassed the true lord rank and reached the origin core realm. Amongst them, Zhao Feng saw a mystic-clothed youth who had a majestic aura. It was the mystic sword sovereign from the Rising Dragon auction. Soon, 9 sovereigns at the origin core realm appeared on the golden stage, making the hearts of the geniuses below shake. In the past, the Sacred Alliance would only send 2 or 3 sovereigns at the origin core realm at most. This time, it has only just begun, and there are already 9 of them. Even the Deputy Palace Lord of the Sacred Alliance has appeared. Some of the peak experts of the continent began to discuss in secret. The Deputy Palace Lord of the Sacred Alliance sat in the middle. He was a tall figure with bronze skin and a pair of eyes like orange gold. His hair was like purple and black flames. The most eye-catching thing was the huge black saber on his back. It was domineering and a bit ferocious. It was nearly 2 meters long, and there was a row of nicks at the front. It was actually a broken saber. The bronze-skinned giant sat at the center of the golden stage, as if he was suppressing all the gods and ghosts in the arena. The 2 origin core realms on his left and right had respectful expressions, and they would bow to the Deputy Palace Lord whenever they appeared. Greetings, dominating blade, sovereign lord. The Mystic Ice Queen of the Mystic Ice Palace bowed respectfully to the Deputy Palace Lord. The bronze-skinned giant nodded his head faintly and responded to the sovereign's present. This Deputy Palace Lord has such a terrifying aura. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I didn't dare to easily scan the origin core realm, let alone this bronze-skinned giant. According to his understanding, the origin core realm was split into 3 realms: true human rank, true mystic rank, and true lord rank. The true spirit realm was split into 3 realms: true human rank, true mystic rank, and true lord rank. In these 3 realms, both true human rank and true lord rank were at the true spirit realm. The origin core realm was split into small origin core realm and great origin core realm. Deputy Palace Lord, what kind of organization is the Sacred Alliance? Why do they have so many sovereigns? Doesn't this mean that even the 10 great clans have to bow down to them? Zhao Feng asked curiously. Zhao Feng, there's no point in knowing too much about the Sacred Alliance. Simply put, it's an alliance made up of sovereigns at the origin core realm that maintains the balance of the continent. Its members include sovereigns of the 10 great clans and scattered sovereigns. The blood-hair-colored Tiamat explained. Zhao Feng was surprised that there was such a large organization in the continent. Many of the members of the Sacred Alliance were sovereigns from all over the continent, such as the 10 great clans. Therefore, the decisions of the Sacred Alliance were made by the members for stability. It was very hard for one person to make the decision and threaten the entire continent. In history, if there wasn't the Sacred Alliance, the 10 great clans wouldn't be able to band together to destroy the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. The owner of the Rising Dragon auction you participated in before was the Saint Region Alliance. The blood-hair-colored Tiamat added. No wonder. Zhao Feng faintly understood that although the continent seemed endless, it was actually a small group of people that decided the fate of everything in the world. The Sacred True Dragon Gathering will officially begin in 3 days. The majestic and boundless voice reverberated throughout the spacious ancient arena. The next 3 days were the preparation phase. Every force and every genius had to be examined by the Sacred Alliance and receive a True Dragon token to participate in the competition. During this time, everyone understood the rules of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering. A day later, the geniuses of the Canopy Great Country were examined by the Sacred Alliance and received their True Dragon token. Zhao Feng saw that his True Dragon token was completely blank and flawless. Most others such as Xian Wuheng, Zhao Yufei, Dai Yi, Bei Moi, and company all had the same True Dragon token. Of course, there was a small portion whose True Dragon token was different. For example, Jiang Sanfeng's True Dragon token was bronze, and he had reached the top 300 in the last Sacred True Dragon Gathering. Prince Jin's True Dragon token was faint silver and had a True Dragon carving on it. Mo Tiany's True Dragon token was pure silver and bright. The True Dragon carvings on it were extremely lifelike. Zhao Feng inspected Goddess Bing Wei in the distance. Her True Dragon token was a dazzling gold, and the dragon carvings on it seemed to be alive. It even started to move and gave off a faint dragon roar. It was as if it was the king of a true dragon, causing the nearby True Dragon tokens to tremble. We're all participating in the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, but why are we treated differently? Many geniuses complain. Chapter 345. From the start of the Sacred True Dragon Gathering, everyone's starting point was different. This also proved that there was no absolute fairness in the world. According to Zhao Feng's observation, the True Dragon token was split into the following grades. White True Dragon token, no color. Most geniuses had this type. Bronze True Dragon token. A small number of geniuses that participated in the last Sacred True Dragon Gathering and reached the top several hundred. Silver True Dragon token, from faint silver to silver. Reached the top 100 in the last Sacred True Dragon Gathering. Gold True Dragon token, from faint gold to shining gold. reached the top 20 in the last Sacred True Dragon gathering. The 5 overwhelming prodigies were an exception. No matter if they participated in the last Sacred True Dragon gathering or not, their True Dragon token was a shining gold one. Zhao Feng was the same as most geniuses and obviously had the lowest white True Dragon token. The Sacred True Dragon gathering is different to normal competitions. The only thing that determines the winner is the dragon blessing within the True Dragon token. If you win, you can steal a portion of your opponent's blessing. If you lose some of your blessing. Jiang Sanfeng explained in a low tone. After understanding the rules, many people were puzzled. Dai Yi asked, "If it's like this, isn't it unfair to those who are participating for the first time?" This was also what Zhao Feng was thinking. Some peak geniuses, such as Mo Tianyi, had a True Dragon token that had 100 times more dragon blessing than normal geniuses. The 5 overwhelming prodigies had 1,000 times more dragon blessing than normal geniuses. The rules can be said to be fair or unfair. Jiang Sanfeng smiled faintly. "Oh, what do you mean?" Everyone was curious. If someone with less dragon providence defeats someone with more dragon providence, they can plunder more dragon providence. On the contrary, if someone with more dragon providence defeats someone with less dragon providence, they can only plunder a negligible amount of dragon providence. Jiang Sanfeng explained. As soon as he said this, everyone was enlightened. For example, the 5 overwhelming prodigies had an enormous amount of dragon blessing, 1,000 times more than normal geniuses. Once they lost, they would lose a large amount of blessing. On the contrary, geniuses participating in the Sacred True Dragon gathering for the first time had very little providence, and having a portion taken was nothing to Goddess Bing Wei or Mo Tianyi. From the looks of it, as long as one has absolute strength, even a newbie participating in the Sacred True Dragon gathering for the first time can gather a large amount of dragon blessing and fight against the 5 overwhelming prodigies. Zhao Feng secretly nodded. Therefore, the Sacred True Dragon gathering was both fair and unfair. What was unfair was that everyone's starting point was different. It was just like one's birth. Some people came from royal families, while others came from poor families. But to be fair, as long as you have enough strength, everything can be changed. Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng stared at the empty True Dragon token in his hand, and his eyes were filled with expectation. Time flew by. 2 days later, all the geniuses from across the continent had received their True Dragon tokens. At this moment, the stands around the ancient arena were filled with elites from all over the continent, including some geniuses that weren't fated to participate in the Sacred True Dragon gathering. Zhao Feng estimated that there were over 100,000 spectators. Furthermore, to watch the Sacred True Dragon gathering required a large amount of primal crystal stones. It was enough to make those under the True Spirit realm go bankrupt. Suddenly, the ground of the ancient arena started to tremble. The mountains of stone statues around the ancient Colosseum were tall and majestic, and they seemed to possess the power of nothingness that could penetrate through heaven and earth. Those stone statues originated from the majestic existences of myths and legends, and they seemed to be watching everything in the arena. The next instant, in the east, west, south, north, and center regions of the ancient arena, a huge arena appeared in each of them. Each arena had a radius of 10 miles and was bigger than any arena Zhao Feng had seen before. It was large enough to use all kinds of skills and was suitable for long-range weapons. The 100,000 spectators around the ancient arena burst out with overwhelming enthusiasm. At this moment in time, the blood of every participating genius couldn't help but boil. The Sacred True Dragon gathering was indeed the focus of the entire continent. Amidst the heated atmosphere, an unparalleled prodigy appeared in each of the 5 regional arenas as they ascended. Eastern Stage, Tantai Lanhua Western Stage, Shi Qingtian Southern Stage, Taiyun Shuangzi Northern Stage, Goddess Bing Wei Middle Stage. Yuqianhao, the 5 overwhelming prodigies all had their True Dragon tokens glowing and golden True Dragon carvings circling around them. This was especially so for Yu Tianhao, who had a faint golden dragon blessing around him. His blessing seemed to suppress the entire crowd. In the air above the ancient arena on the oval stage, the upper echelon of the Sacred Alliance looked at each other. Finally, the bronze-skinned giant deputy palace lord faintly nodded his head. The first round of the sacred True Dragon Gathering Battle of Five Zones begins today. A loud and powerful voice reverberated throughout the entire ancient arena. According to the rules, the geniuses of the continent would be split into the 5 zones based on the strength of their True Dragon token. As for which zone they were split into, apart from the strength of their True Dragon token, everything else was random. Wang Xiaofeng found his True Dragon token faintly tremble as it resonated with the northern arena. The True Dragon token automatically pointed him in the right direction. Some geniuses didn't believe it and purposely went in the opposite direction. The result was that the hearts of the geniuses that tried to go against it shook. The stone statue mountains around the arena seemed to have a divine intent that made it hard for them to move. Only by following the True Dragon token could they be like fish in water. Xiaofeng arrived at the northern arena without any problems. An hour later, the several thousand geniuses were split into the eastern, western, southern, northern, and middle arenas. Every region had a peerless prodigy. The northern zone that Xiaofeng was Goddess Bing Wei of the extreme northern Mystic Ice Palace. He looked around to see if there were any other acquaintances who were also assigned to the northern region arena. Wang Xiaoguai, Dong Shui, and Beimhua. Xiaofeng looked around and didn't recognize many people. Wang Xiaoguai also came from the Canopy Great Country. Dong Shui and Xiaofeng both came from the Iron Blood religion. The only unexpected one was Beimhua. The two of them were once in the same zone. Xiaofeng nodded his head faintly and greeted Beimhua. Beimhua's current mood was slightly nervous and excited. Of course, the two of them knew that there were hundreds of geniuses in each region in the competition of the 5 regions. The matches were all random, and not everyone would have the chance to fight. Therefore, the chances of Xiaofeng and Beimhua meeting each other wasn't high. After all, the ranking of the sacred True Dragon Gathering was determined by one's True Dragon blessing. The Northern Zone competition starts now. Use your True Dragon token to go on stage. There was no doubt that a sovereign at the Origin Core realm was the judge of the Northern stage. As soon as his words finished, one on the Northern Zone side, a genius True Dragon token hummed and guided him onto the stage. My God, my luck is too bad. The early stage true human rank genius was speechless. The first person to go up on the northern stage was Goddess Bing Wei. White True Dragon token, my luck is too bad. Goddess Bing Wei's eyebrows furrowed as she inspected her opponent. Being one of the 5 overwhelming prodigies, her dragon blessing was enormous, whereas her opponent's dragon blessing was minuscule. Even if she won, she wouldn't be able to take much dragon blessing. She wanted to increase her True Dragon token's Genius Dragon Providence. So her opponent had to have a bronze token or above, preferably a silver token or above. Only then would she be able to obtain more Genius Dragon Providence. Limitless Wind Sword. The early stage true human rank genius gritted his teeth and condensed a fast vibrating wind blade on his sword as he slashed towards Goddess Bing Wei. Since he had reached the highest stage of the continent, he wouldn't allow himself to admit defeat, even if his opponent was an overwhelming prodigy. Every genius present was a prodigy of a certain zone and had the hopes of tens of thousands. Extreme northern ice wind. Goddess Bing Wei pointed out, and an ice blue light visible to the naked eye swept over the opponent. CC. The true human rank genius's chi of true spirit instantly condensed and froze on the spot. His mouth was wide open, and the divine weapon was still raised in the air. He stood there like an ice sculpture, motionless. Take him away, the sovereign at the Origin Core realm said, and soon 2 true lord ranks came up to take care of him. Wang, the defeated genius True Dragon token, split off a wisp of white dragon and merged into Goddess Bing Wei's True Dragon token. Goddess Bing Wei's True Dragon token glowed gold and didn't change at all. She couldn't help but be disappointed. The opponent was too weak, and the blessing she received was negligible. At the same time, the battles in the east, west, south, and central zones had all ended in an instant. The middle zone, unparalleled under the heavens. Yu Qianhao waved his hand, and an unparalleled palm light swept across the sky like a mysterious aurora. It was domineering, suppressing everything in its path. Bam! His opponent, who was at the peak true human rank, was sent off the stage with one palm. The eastern zone, Tantai Lanue's petite figure floated beautifully in the air. She held a 5-color glass whip in her hand and whipped her opponent away with one whip. She came from a beast tamer family and hadn't even sent out her spiritual pet yet. The western zone, a giant man, as tall as copper and iron, stood in place like an unshakable mountain. Roar! With a roar, an opponent at the true mystic rank spat out blood and fainted. One of the 5 overwhelming prodigies, Shi Chengtian. The southern zone, a 2-headed, 4-armed Siamese was standing on the arena, laughing with a jejje sound. Let me do it. The conjoined human had 2 heads. Their faces were filled with excitement as they argued with each other. One body, a total of 2 heads, each controlling a saber and a sword. They were Taiyun Shuangzi, one of the 5 overwhelming prodigies. Heaven Astral 9 Flame Blade. Earth Fiend Ice Soul Sword. The blade and sword shot out, and a terrifying aura of fire and ice swept over. The true human rank youth's body trembled, and he couldn't even raise his thoughts. Boom! The late stage, true human rank youth screamed as his body was instantly twisted into pieces and blood splattered everywhere. See, the 100,000 spectators all took in a cold breath. Chapter 346. The geniuses of the Southern Domain Ring were dumbfounded and shivering in fear. Many people exclaimed, and there was even the screams of girls. The tens of thousands of spectators all took in a cold breath. Someone's dead. This Taiyun Shuangzi is so cruel that he killed a genius in front of everyone. The geniuses of the southern stage exclaimed. Following this, many people started to criticize. Judge, Taiyun Shuangzi purposely killed someone, and according to the rules, he should be kicked out of the sacred True Dragon battlefield. Someone in the audience suggested. The competition in the sacred True Dragon gathering was cruel, and there had been deaths before. The Sacred Alliance also valued geniuses. After all, the geniuses participating were prodigies, and only 1 or 2 would appear out of billions of people. Therefore, the sacred True Dragon gathering had a rule that one couldn't purposely kill someone, especially when the opponent admitted defeat. An expert at the peak true mystic rank roared in anger. Sacred Alliance, this brat should be killed or at least disqualified according to the rules. Bullshit. How we know he was this weak? He couldn't even take one move. How can this be considered purposely killing someone? According to the rules, killing someone before they admit defeat isn't against the rules. That brat didn't admit defeat. Taiyun Shuangzi's 2 heads spoke in a weird tone, cunning and fearless. Obviously, they had a thorough understanding of the rules of the competition. The instant Taiyun Shuangzi attacked, his powerful true spirit aura suppressed the opponent. The opponent was killed before they could even react. Putting aside those at the true human rank, most true mystic ranks would be instantly killed. This Taiyun Shuangzi is a newly ascended, overwhelming prodigy, and his cultivation has reached the late stages of the true human rank. He has 2 heads and 4 hands, and when he fights, it's like 2 true human rank teaming up. He's invincible against those under the true lord rank. Taiyun Shuangzi is indeed worthy of being Yu Qianhao's greatest opponent. More spectators and geniuses were stunned by Taiyun Shuangzi's terrifying strength. At this point in time, facing the protests of many people, the judge from the southern stage said emotionlessly, Taiyun Shuangzi, one warning. 1/10 of your dragon blessing will be taken away. After speaking, the judge waved the true dragon flag in his hand. Whoosh! Taiyun Shuangzi had lost 1/10 of his dragon blessing, and the true dragon tokens glow dimmed a bit. The draconic providence was dispersed into the bodies of the geniuses of the southern region. I gained a dragon luck out of the blue. Prince Jean revealed a smile, and the silver light on his true dragon token became a bit brighter. Damn it, how could you do this? We didn't kill them on purpose. It's just that our opponents were too weak. The two heads of Taiyun Shuangzi gritted their teeth unwillingly. Sacred true dragon gathering rules. Purposely killing and taking away the rules. If you kill someone unintentionally or lose control, you'll be deprived of 1/10 of your genius dragon luck. The venerable judge was indifferent. The sacred true dragon gathering had a complete set of rules. Taiyun Shuangzi was an overwhelming prodigy, and the Sacred Alliance's sentence was considered light. Boss, looks like we can't go on a killing spree. The second brother of Taiyun Shuangzi said, the Sacred True Dragon Gathering doesn't forbid killing, but it doesn't forbid crippling. Taiyun Shuangzi licked his lips cunningly. Xi and Wuheng stood in the crowd with a solemn expression. If these conjoined bodies specialize in combined attacks, then their battle power will probably double. Xi and Wuheng, Prince Jean, and company were sent to the southern region's arena with Taiyun Shuangzi. After this battle, the geniuses of the southern region's arena trembled and maintained their distance from Taiyun Shuangzi. Many people made up their minds that if their luck wasn't good and they met Taiyun Shuangzi, it would be best to admit defeat. Ancient Colosseum. The Battle of the Five Regions proceeded in an orderly manner. Every battle was guided by the True Dragon token, and the two went up the stage to fight. The rules of the sacred True Dragon Gathering didn't look at how many battles you won, but how much dragon blessing you had accumulated. Northern Region's Arena. After Goddess Bing Wei's victory, more geniuses went up to fight. According to previous years' experience, this process would last for almost 10 days. After all, there were several hundred geniuses in each domain. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged and closed his eyes, paying attention to the sacred True Dragon Gathering. The majority of his attention was focused on comprehension. With my current strength, the chances of me reaching the top 20 are minuscule. Zhao Feng didn't give up and used every second to increase his strength. In his mind, the Lightning Inheritance and Mystic Flower Treasured Bible continued to clash, and the degree of fusion increased. The second level of the Ball of Ice Soul, Power of Ice Soul, had been comprehended by Zhao Feng, and his progress in the ancient Tao of the Soul was steady. Apart from that, the Dark Eye Incomplete page allowed Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye to widen his horizons and give him new ideas. After several months of comprehension, Zhao Feng's mental energy level was comparable to the true mystic rank. Within the dimension of his left eye, the faint blue freezing pond had reached a diameter of 1 yard, and the ripples were more active than before. Zhao Feng felt that the mental energy source he could use had more than doubled, and the power of the Ice Soul was stronger. At a certain moment, Zhao Feng opened his eyes and watched a battle. Although he was comprehending, he still paid attention to the outside world. It wasn't strange for the god's spiritual eye to multitask at this level. The northern stage. Baimois stood on the stage and took a deep breath. Dark blue ripples surged around his body, and rippling water snakes surrounded his body, attacking his opponent in a lifelike manner. Brat, give up. A man in a red robe snickered as balls of flames appeared in his palm and exploded on Baimois' body like a blooming red lotus. The red-robed man's cultivation had reached the early stages of the true human rank and was slightly higher than Baimois'. Although Baimois' dark water inheritance was strong, the geniuses of the sacred True Dragon Gathering all had stronger backgrounds than him. The red-robed man in front of him had a cultivation technique that countered his own. The latter's chi of true spirit was denser, and his cultivation technique was profound, stronger than his. 30 moves later, Baimois was pushed back by the red-robed man. The stage was 10 miles wide, and Baimois was able to hold on due to his defense. The dark water inheritance is nothing in the sacred True Dragon Gathering. Even my lightning inheritance can only be ranked in the middle. Luckily, I merged the essence of the Mystic Flower Treasure Bible. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. It wasn't that Baimoi's dark water inheritance wasn't strong, but that the geniuses of the sacred true dragon gathering were all prodigies of the heavens. Compared to them, the cloud area was just a small village. Brat, if you don't admit defeat, it won't break the rules even if I kill you. The red-robed man took out a scarlet red dragon wood sword, and with one slash, a flaming dragon light tore through the dark blue ripple around Baimois. Wah! Baimois spat out a mouthful of blood and was heavily injured as the red-robed man closed in. Dark water turning to ice. Baimois' eyes went red, and the true dragon chi within his body started to burn and change. Hiss! Baimois' entire body was covered in a dark blue ripple. It turned from liquid to ice, and cold air surged out. Using the dark water turning to ice skill, Baimois released a terrifying power. This was the strongest attack of the dark water inheritance. Shwa! The red-robed man was left with a bloody wound by the dark blue ice sword. The coldness corroded and solidified, and he cried out in alarm as he retreated. If it wasn't for the fact that I had taken the spirit burst pill and entered the true spirit realm, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend one of the two strongest laws of the dark water inheritance. Baimois took a deep breath, and ice water surrounded him. Every attack was accompanied by an explosion of ice light. His fists seemed to contain layers of ice mountains, and his battle power rose dramatically. 50 moves later, Shwa! Baimois' palm sent the red-robed man flying with the afterimage of an icy mountain. I won. Baimois wiped the blood from his mouth as his blood boiled. His expressionless face was filled with excitement and insanity. On the highest stage of the continent, Baimois didn't want to leave his name behind. He just wanted to shine. After winning, Baimois' true dragon token took a wisp of dragon blessing, and although it was still a blank piece of paper, it became brighter. It's hard to imagine that Baimois' strength can barely make it into the top 10. Zhao Feng nodded his head in his heart. Although it would be hard for Baimois to reach the top 300 with his strength, his background was perfect. Northern stage. The battle was abnormally intense, and round after round continued. Until a certain moment, Zhao Feng's true dragon token hummed and pointed towards the stage. It's my turn. Zhao Feng's heart was filled with excitement. Even with his calm personality, he couldn't help but be excited about the first battle. Shwa! Shwa! Zhao Feng turned into an afterimage and landed on the southern stage. The opponent was an azure-clothed youth with a firm gaze. He held a low-grade spiritual gray blade, and his chi of true spirit was released. I can't lose the first battle. Gao Peng tightly gripped his blade as his blood boiled, and his chi of true spirit flowed like a river. He stared at the blue-haired youth in front of him, and thoughts flashed through his mind. Before I left, the elders of the strong country had high hopes for me. After 20 years of hard work, I've defeated many geniuses from the strong country to reach this step. If I lose the first battle to someone of the same cultivation, how can I face the geniuses I've defeated? Gao Peng's battle intent and true spirit aura had reached a peak. Not even 20 years of age, and at the early stages of the true spirit realm. Zhao Feng silently stared at the youth in front of him. The latter's talent and potential were all top tier. Zhao Feng didn't underestimate the first battle. Blade of Lightning. A blade formed from lightning formed in Zhao Feng's palm. It was 1 yard long, and the power of lightning was terrifying. Flying crane cloud, splitting blade. Battle intent surged in Gao Peng's eyes as he roared. His figure became as light as a crane as he merged with the blade and slashed through the air. The agile movement skill and the tyrannical blade of lightning were both strange and abrupt, yet perfectly fused together. The instant the blade was unleashed, the chi of true spirit surged like a flood, and the blade radiated a blinding light that covered a radius of dozens of yards. Flying crane, cleaving cloud saber. What a profound saber technique concept. Any opponent in the sacred true dragon gathering, even if they're of the same cultivation, has strength that can't be underestimated. Zhao Feng was shocked. Shwa! Zhao Feng's body was instantly obliterated by the lightning-cleaving saber. Chapter 347. Zhao Feng's body was like a piece of paper that was slashed apart. Below the northern stage, Bei Moi, Dong Shui, and company's hearts jumped. With Brother Zhao's strength, it's impossible for him to lose so quickly. Bei Moi shook his head. Right at this moment, the victor had been decided on the northern stage. Woo! Gao Peng's figure paused in midair. His body was surrounded by electric chains, and his body kept spasming. At some point, a blue-haired young man appeared with his arms crossed and his back facing Gao Peng. Electric chains wrapped around Gao Peng tightly like snakes. Plop! Gao Peng fell from the sky. His body was char-black and numb. What a weird movement skill. The use of the power of lightning and thunder is marvelous and unpredictable. Exclamations came from the northern stage. At the very least, Zhao Feng's speed and usage of lightning made most people sigh in admiration. Deciding victory in one move wasn't common in the sacred True Dragon gathering and only happened with the 5 overwhelming prodigies. The sovereign judge waved the True Dragon flag and declared Zhao Feng's victory. Instantly, a portion of Gao Peng's dragon blessing merged into Zhao Feng's body. Zhao Feng's True Dragon token was still a whiteboard, but the True Dragon carving on it was brighter and clearer. After winning the first battle, Zhao Feng's dragon blessing had increased by several fold. This was mainly because his dragon blessing was low, and anyone he beat would increase his dragon blessing. Brother Qin, this blue-haired brat might be a dark horse. A peaked true human-rank square-faced youth below the northern stage couldn't help but exclaim. The square-faced youth had noticed Zhao Feng the moment he stepped onto the stage, mainly because of Zhao Feng's blue hair and faint blue left eye. Due to looking closely, the square-faced youth found that Zhao Feng's usage of lightning and movement was incredible. Not bad, but not a dark horse. In previous sacred True Dragon gatherings, only those that win at least 10 battles in a row could be considered a dark horse. Brother Qin said faintly. This senior Brother Qin was in his 30s, and he was dressed like a weak scholar. He stood in the crowd, but many geniuses admired and complimented him. This guy is Qin Kunwu, and he comes from one of the 10 great clans, the Heavenly Book Pavilion. In the last sacred True Dragon gathering, he fought Mo Qiani to a draw and placed higher. Xia Xianshang from the 10,000 Sword Clan said solemnly. On the northern stage, apart from Zhao Feng, Dong Shui, Bei Moi, and Wang Xiaowai, there were also Xia Xianshang and others. Of course, both Xia Xianshang and Qin Kunwu were of the top in the sacred True Dragon of the sacred True Dragon. Below the overwhelming prodigy goddess Bing Wei were Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the ghost-eyed man with a pure silver True Dragon token. Dong Shui analyzed. She and Zhao Feng both came from the Iron Blood religion and had gathered a lot of information. In reality, Zhao Feng didn't need her to say anything and could understand with a scan of his god's spiritual eye. As long as he sensed the strength of each person's True Dragon token, he could analyze the current situation. Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the ghost-eyed man did indeed give Zhao Feng a strong pressure just below goddess Bing Wei. What's the situation with the ghost-eyed man? Zhao Feng's eye bloodline sensed something. I heard that he comes from one of the 3 great eye bloodline families, the Wu family. Dong Shui looked towards the ghost-eyed man and said uncertainly. After all, this was her first time participating in the sacred True Dragon gathering. When Zhao Feng and company inspected the ghost-eyed man, the latter seemed to sense something, and a pair of gray eyes flashed coldly as he suddenly scanned over. Suddenly the geniuses in this area felt their hairs stand on end, and their bodies went cold as if they had stepped into a grave of white bones. Dong Shui's body trembled in fear, and she couldn't even spit out a single word. Even someone as strong as Zhao Feng felt his body go cold and found it hard to breathe. He even felt a sliver of danger. The ghost-eyed man's ghost-eye bloodline gave off an ancient and dark aura that could corrode the physical world. What a strong eye bloodline. This was the first time Zhao Feng had seen such a strong eye bloodline. It was more than 10 times stronger than Lin Tong. Zhezhe, I didn't think there would be such a strong eye bloodline apart from the 3 great eye families. Unfortunately for you, The ghost-eyed man could obviously sense Zhao Feng's eye bloodline and shook his head regretfully. He admitted that Zhao Feng's eye bloodline wasn't bad, but he didn't have a good opinion of it. When Zhao Feng touched the ghost-eye bloodline, he felt a cold, corrosive aura that was about to enter his god's spiritual eye. Pung pung, pung pung. The god's spiritual eye twitched and felt a sense of danger. In the dimension of his left eye, a gray aura appeared in the freezing pond, which made Zhao Feng feel like it was being corroded. Destroy. Zhao Feng circulated his mental energy source, and the freezing pond extended, and a terrifying power of ice extinguished the dark aura. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and let out a long breath. The ghost-eyed man's eye bloodline was indeed terrifying. No wonder he came from one of the three great eye families. This person's strength isn't any weaker than Mo Tianyi. Zhao Feng calmed himself down. Analyzing the current situation of the northern zone, the overwhelming prodigy goddess Bing Wei was definitely unrivaled. Next was Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the ghost-eyed man. Even Zhao Feng didn't have a high chance of winning. As for the people below, even if they were at the true mystic rank, Zhao Feng had a certain chance of winning. Chapter leader, that guy's attacked. Dong Shui suddenly exclaimed. Zhao Feng looked over and saw the ghost-eyed man standing on the northern zone. His opponent was a peak true human rank golden robe man. Ghost eye soul burning. The ghost-eyed man snickered. His pair of ghost eyes glowed with a gloomy gray light. Shua! The golden robe man screamed as his blood boiled and spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately after that, the brocade robe man screamed in pain as cold sweat dripped from his body and rolled off the stage. The judge waved the true dragon flag. The ghost-eyed man murmured to himself, if it wasn't for the fact that killing people would take away their dragon blessing. It was obvious that he had held back just then. Taiyin Shuangzi from before had killed his opponent, and not only did he not get any dragon blessing, some of it was taken away instead. When the ghost-eyed man attacked, Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye locked onto him. Combining the flame of true spirit with the eye bloodline creates a ghost eye flame that burns the opponent's soul. Zhao Feng analyzed the theory behind the ghost-eyed man's eye bloodline. However, being able to analyze the theory didn't mean that Zhao Feng could instantly copy it. Zhao Feng could only use the techniques and secret techniques related to bloodlines as reference. Because everyone's bloodline was different, the bloodline might be suitable for others, but it didn't mean that it was suitable for him. However, the flame of true spirit can usually be formed when one reaches the true spirit realm. Zhao Feng closed his eyes, and his consciousness entered his dantian. At the core of his dantian was the source of true spirit, which was of the lightning element. Zhao Feng circulated his qi of true spirit according to the lightning inheritance and used the Mystic Flower Treasure Bible as a reference. Qiu. In the depths of the source of true spirit, wisps of flames the size of soybeans started to flicker with lightning. This wasn't a normal flame of true spirit, it was a true spirit lightning flame. After reaching the true spirit realm, Zhao Feng hadn't paid much attention to the flame of true spirit. After all, he didn't plan on walking the path of forging. However, at this moment, the true spirit lightning flame in his dantian gave off an aura that made Zhao Feng's heart jump. Using the true spirit lightning flame as a primer and merging with the god's spiritual eye, can I activate the lightning fire god's eye? Zhao Feng soon had an idea. After all, he had read the Dark Eye Forbidden Page and had enough knowledge of our bloodline techniques. Firstly, Zhao Feng needed a bridge to connect the god's spiritual eye and the true spirit lightning flame together. This bridge was the chilling pale blue blood in his body. A while later, the faint blue blood turned into spider silk that reached the freezing pond in the dimension of his left eye and the true spirit lightning flame in his dantian. Time passed by quickly. Zhao Feng kept on trying and researching. After failing time and time again, he was close to success. Suddenly, the true dragon token on Zhao Feng's body sensed something and pointed towards the northern stage. It's my turn. Zhao Feng reluctantly sat up. His experiments and research were already very close to success. Once the lightning fire gods I succeeded, it would be an extremely powerful eye bloodline technique that would not only attack the soul, but also the mental energy and physical world. Northern stage. Zhao Feng went up for the second time. His opponent this time was a late-stage, true, human-rank golden armored male. The golden armored male had a wary expression as he circulated his chi of true spirit to defend against Zhao Feng's unfathomable speed. The first time Zhao Feng went up, his speed made most of the geniuses in the northern stage sigh in admiration. Against fast people, I need to strengthen my defense and use silence to win. The golden armored male had a smile on his face after consolidating his defense. His cultivation was higher than Zhao Feng's, and he believed that as long as he defended, he would have a high chance of winning. However, this time, Zhao Feng didn't win with speed like he had imagined. Eye of illusion. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye, and his left eye seemed to extend into a bottomless pond. Plop! In less than a breath, the golden armored male half knelt on the ground, covered in cold sweat, with a face of humiliation and shock. Hua! The northern stage broke out into chaos. Some peak true human rank and even true mystic rank geniuses were moved. The ghost-eyed male revealed a slightly weird expression. Looks like he doesn't completely know eye bloodline techniques. Wang Zhao Feng's true dragon token had taken more dragon blessing than last time, and the true dragon carving on it was clearer and brighter. However, it was still a distance away from the bronze true dragon token. After winning, Zhao Feng immediately returned to his original position and sat down cross-legged. In the dimension of his left eye, he quickly searched and tried. Slowly but surely, Zhao Feng's left eye would flash with azure lightning, and there seemed to be a transparent flame flashing in the core. Chapter 348. Within Zhao Feng's body, the faint blue blood turned into a bridge that entered the dimension of his left eye and merged with the source of true spirit within his dantian. Sizzles of true spirit lightning flame formed within his source of true spirit and successfully merged with the freezing pond within the dimension of his left eye. The freezing pond wasn't just a source of mental energy, it was also the core secret of Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye. Even after several transformations, it was still a mystery. The true spirit lightning flame and the frigid pond had temporarily merged together after many tries. A faint azure lightning flame flashed across Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye, but it disappeared in an instant. At this point in time, the eye flame technique that Zhao Feng had stolen from the ghost-eyed man had formed an outline. The eyes are, after all, the most fragile part of the human body. This eye flame is only suitable for instant use and isn't suitable for continuous use. If it's a normal eye, it's impossible. Zhao Feng understood. This meant that those without a powerful eye bloodline wouldn't be able to cultivate this eye flame technique, even if they understood it. This was because the eyes of normal people were too fragile and couldn't withstand this eye flame. At this point in time, Zhao Feng's lightning fire god's eye had formed, and its offensive power surpassed the three eye techniques he had already comprehended. At the moment, the eye techniques that Zhao Feng had comprehended were the eye of illusion, eye of eye soul, and eye of heart. Amongst them, the eye of eye soul was the most corrosive and specialized in locking onto targets. Zhao Feng normally wouldn't use it easily. On the other hand, the lightning fire god's eye was definitely comparable to the eye of eye soul. The lightning fire god's eye can't be used easily, or else it'll easily burn the opponent's soul and cause excessive killing. Furthermore, this eye technique will place a heavy burden on the god's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng felt slightly regretful. He had just comprehended the lightning fire god's eye, and his control wasn't good enough. Due to this, whenever the ghost-eyed man went up to fight, Zhao Feng would open his god's spiritual eye and secretly learn a thing or two. Ghost Eye Soul Burn. The ghost-eyed man's ghost eyes glowed with a dark gray light. A peak true human rank screamed and fell to the ground, rolling on the ground as if he was being tortured. The ghost-eyed man's ghost eye soul burn was controlled precisely, If not, it would easily cause the enemy's soul to dissipate. Anyone that lost to him would be injured mentally and wouldn't be able to recover from the sacred true dragon gathering. They would never be able to obtain a good ranking. Therefore, the ghost-eyed man became a taboo in the northern zone. Many geniuses did not dare to fight against him. The Wu family is indeed one of the three eye bloodline families in the continent. Both Qin Kunwu and Xia Xianshang looked solemn. Their strength was on the same level as Mo Qianni, but they were wary of the ghost-eyed man. The heirs of the three eye bloodline families are all here. Tuoba family, Wu family, Qiu family. Qin Kunwu couldn't help but look around. Under normal circumstances, unless one was an overwhelming heaven's favorite, no one would want to run into the heirs of the three eye clans. This was because the attacks of an eye bloodline were extremely strange and hard to defend against. Look, it's the successor of the Tuoba family on the Eastern Region arena. Many geniuses' gazes turned to the Eastern stage. The overwhelming prodigy of the Eastern stage was Tantai Lanyue, and she had always looked down on the others. At this moment in time, the successor of the Tuoba family appeared on the Eastern stage. Tuoba Chi. He's from one of the three eye bloodline families. Many gazes landed on the handsome youth. Tuoba Chi's opponent was a beautiful pink-clothed female. Dai Yi, Zhao Feng, Dong Shui, Jiang Sanfeng, and company's expressions changed slightly. Heavenly piercing eye. Tuoba Chi's ordinary eyes suddenly shone with a cold glint. Shua, a bloody gash appeared on Dai Ye's pretty face, extending all the way to her snow-white neck. I admit defeat. Dai Ye's expression changed dramatically as her voice trembled and her face was full of fear. Back then, she had chased after the fan-flying bandit with Zhao Feng, and her strength was close to the peak true human rank. However, at this moment, Dai Yi didn't even have the ability to fight back. The heavenly piercing eyes attack could slice through the enemy's throat in an instant. It was impossible to dodge. The heavenly piercing eye is still so strong. If I meet him, both of us will be heavily injured. The ghost-eyed man's expression was solemn. Of course, at this stage of the Battle of Five Zones, battles were only limited to within the arena and couldn't cross over to other arenas. There were hundreds of geniuses on the same stage, and the chances of them meeting each other were small. The heavenly piercing eyes attack is so strong, and it's leaning towards the physical world. Zhao Feng clucked his tongue in his heart. Tuoba Chi's heavenly piercing eye was too fast, and Zhao Feng didn't even have time to lock onto it. Furthermore, the opponent's heavenly piercing eye was of the wind element, and even if Zhao Feng copied it, he wouldn't be able to use it. Northern stage. The duels continued, one round after another. Goddess Bingwei was unrivaled and had always won in one move. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng had already fought 5 times and won 5 in a row. Beimua won 2 and lost 3. Dong Shui lost all 5 and was crying. Wang Xiaoguai had also won 5 in a row and became more and more courageous. Being able to obtain 5 consecutive victories in the 5 arenas was already an extraordinary achievement. Of course, below the overwhelming prodigies, Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the ghost-eyed man had won all 5 battles. The 7th battle, Zhao Feng went up once again, and his opponent was a peak true human rank black-robed youth. The token in his hand glowed with a faint silver light. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's true dragon token only glowed with a faint bronze color. Young man, your winning record ends here. The black-robed youth smiled faintly. The youth in front of him was the strongest opponent Zhao Feng had faced so far. The color of the token could be used to measure one's strength. Black Crow Li Chungyun. This person is called the Black Crow, and his speed is like a ghost. This guy only entered the top 300 in the last Sacred True Dragon gathering, but his battle power has exploded this time, and he's become a black horse. He just beat 2 bronze-colored True Dragon token geniuses. Many people below the northern stage knew the black-robed youth's background. Black Crow Li Qingyun inspected Zhao Feng mockingly. Also on the northern stage, Li Qingyun obviously noticed Zhao Feng, who had also won 6 in a row. It could be said, The two were both black horses of the northern stage. Speed is also my forte, and my cultivation is more than a level higher than yours. The power of my eye bloodline is greatly reduced. Black Crow Li Qingyun's expression was relaxed, but he was secretly concentrating. Shua! With a blur, Li Qingyun disappeared. The next instant, a black-winged male appeared in the air and summoned a black mist. Shua! Shua! At the same time, several black figures appeared around Zhao Feng. In terms of speed, Li Qingyun was even faster than some early-stage true mystic ranks. Those under the true mystic rank are useless. Zhao Feng suddenly opened his god's spiritual eye and locked onto a black figure. I have ice soul. His faint blue left, I turned into a bottomless pond, and an invisible power of ice soul seeped into his mental energy world. The black crow, Li Yunqing, was as fast as a ghost. The black crow's figure froze. Suddenly, he seemed to fall into an endless realm of ice, and the coldness from his mental energy consciousness invaded his mind. Li Yunqing's mental energy consciousness was eroded by a layer of ice blue light, and even his thoughts seemed to be frozen. At this point in time, he who specialized in speed seemed to have dementia, and his reactions and actions were as slow as a snail. Not only that, his mental energy consciousness was eroded and attacked by the power of ice soul, and almost fell into a deep slumber. Bam! Zhao Feng raised his foot and kicked Li Yunqing out of the northern stage. The moment he landed on the ground, he was still shivering non-stop. His thoughts and actions had become incredibly slow. Luckily, I stopped fast. Zhao Feng broke out in cold sweat. After his mental energy level increased, the eye of Ice Soul's eroding power became more terrifying. This eroding and attacking the soul was extremely dangerous and could even lead to murder. After winning 7 times in a row, the token in Zhao Feng's hand turned into a pure bronze color, and its draconic providence became stronger. After defeating Black Crow Li Yunqing, Zhao Feng became a powerful black horse in the northern stage. 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. Zhao Feng's battle record kept on changing, and the bronze true dragon token became brighter. Apart from the overwhelming prodigy goddess Bing Wei and Qin Kunwu and company from the first tier, everyone else looked at the blue-haired youth with respect or wariness. Of course, Zhao Feng wasn't the only black horse in this sacred true dragon gathering. Just the northern stage alone didn't just have Zhao Feng. There was also Wang Xiaoguai and a few others. At the same time, many dark horses had appeared in the eastern region, western region, southern region, and central region. In the southern zone, Xi and Wuheng, Lu Qinxin and company had always won and even defeated some of the previous geniuses. This was especially so for Xi and Wuheng, who fought with one hand and casually defeated his opponent. In the western zone, there were also a few black horses. One of them was a female sword user who defeated her opponent in one move. That was Zhang Yuyue. At the same time, in the eastern zone, Zhao Yufei had become one of the 4 black horses and received much attention. In the air above the arena, the sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance watched the battles on the 5 zones. Worthy of being at the peak of dozens of eras. In the past, there would only be a few dark horses. This time, there are actually 10 or 20 of them. The sovereigns all nodded their heads. The bronze-skinned giant in the middle, the deputy palace master, looked at the stone statue mountains around the arena. The genius dragon luck is still increasing, and it's still going strong. There were many majestic stone statues around the arena. Every single one of them was a mythical character from ancient times and modern times. They gave off traces of mysterious auras, and the charm on their faces seemed to change as they watched the battle in the arena. A few of the majestic stone statues even gave off the illusion that they were swaying and an invisible aura was rising. Look, one of the sovereigns gazed at the top of the ancient arena. At some point in time, several transparent phantoms had appeared in the clouds. The phantom was like a blurry motion picture, with palaces, pavilions, and mountains and rivers visible. It was like a mirage, so fast. There's already signs of the inheritances connecting to the continent. Unbelievable. The sacred True Dragon gathering is only at the early stages. Usually, the inheritances would only appear at the mid to late stages. The sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance were all shocked. Chapter 349. From the aura of the inheritance projection, this inheritance isn't bad, but it's still far from the four great inheritances. The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord gazed at the clouds above the ancient arena. The inheritance projection appeared so early. As the dragon blessing increases, there'll definitely be more than one or two inheritances that can connect. That's right, it's already good if one or two inheritances appear at the end. If it's too bad, there might not even be one. The members of the Sacred Alliance were very experienced. At this moment in time, their eyes were filled with anticipation and joy. A total of 9 sovereigns sat on the stage and watched the battle below. The Battle of the 5 Regions was only the first round of the competition. It would be held in different regions. When geniuses clashed with other geniuses, they would ignite their potential and turn it into dragon blessing. The more dark horses that appeared in the ancient arena, the faster the dragon blessing would grow. During the battle, one's bloodline, talent, battle intent, potential, and youthful fighting spirit would be stimulated time and time again, causing profound changes to occur in the ancient Colosseum. The ancient Colosseum was surrounded by a mountain of stone statues. The majestic statues were emitting a formless aura that was becoming more and more obvious. The northern stage. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged and felt as if he was being watched by the stone statue mountains. Those majestic stone statues were like ancient gods in slumber, gazing at the competition in the arena. They were either praising or disdainful. As long as I don't meet the overwhelming prodigies, Qin Kunwu, the ghost-eyed man, and Xia Xianshang, I'll be able to increase my dragon blessing. Zhao Feng thought in his heart. There were 600 to 700 geniuses in the northern stage, and it wasn't easy to meet someone. However, the Sacred True Dragon Gathering had another rule. If you wanted to challenge a genius, it wasn't impossible. However, if you failed, you would lose double the normal dragon blessing, and if your opponent lost, you would only lose half the normal dragon blessing. Furthermore, each person only had 3 chances to challenge him. Normally, no one would be willing to do such a thankless task. Even the 5 overwhelming prodigies wouldn't do it easily. Only at the last moment would they try to catch up to their dragon blessing. Everything is up to fate. Zhao Feng listened to the true dragon token and fought whoever he met. So far, his luck wasn't bad. He didn't run into a heaven's favorite, nor did he run into the top 3 of the first tier. 10 consecutive victories, 11 consecutive victories, 12 consecutive victories. Zhao Feng's battle record grew again and again. Zhao Feng could instantly kill anyone under the true mystic rank, and the rest of his time was spent on comprehension. This segment of the 5-region competition would normally last from 10 days to half a month, or even longer. After more than 10 rounds of fighting, the situation in the northern arena became clearer. From top to bottom, the strongest was naturally the overwhelming prodigy, Goddess Bingwei. Next were the 3 strongest people of the first tier, Qin Kunwu, the ghost-eyed man, and Xia Xianshang. These 3 were all on par with Mo Qianni. Zhao Feng could lose to any one of them. After there were the normal first tier, and all of them were at the true mystic rank. There were 5 or 6 of them. Finally, the special case was the Dark Horse Genius. The so-called Dark Horse Geniuses didn't participate in the last Sacred True Dragon Gathering, and their True Dragon token started to form. 4 true Dark Horse Geniuses had appeared in the northern zone: Bing Shuiyue, Hong Zhan, Zhao Feng, and Wang Xiaoguai. These 4 Dark Horse Geniuses had won more than 10 consecutive victories. They started from 0 and overcame all obstacles along the way. The 4 Dark Horses of the Northern Zone had the strength to reach the first tier, or were comparable to the ordinary first tier, but there was a clear difference between them and the top 3 of the first tier. There are actually 4 Dark Horses in a mere North Region arena. Qin Kunwu murmured, slightly surprised. Brother Qin, I didn't misjudge. That blue-haired youth is indeed a Dark Horse. The square-faced youth smiled faintly. Of the 4 Dark Horses, Bing Shueiyue and Hongzhan are at the initial stages of the true mystic rank and have some strength. Especially Bing Shueiyue. She's Goddess Bing Wei's sister and might be able to threaten me. As for Zhao Feng and Wang Xiaoguai, they're at the early and late stages of the true human rank. No matter how strong their bloodlines are, they won't be able to do much. Qin Kunwas said casually. Not necessarily. The feeling this Zhao Feng gives me is that his strength isn't limited. However, Bing Shueiyue is indeed strong. The square-faced youth shook his head. At the same time, a 17 or 18-year-old girl in a snow-white robe stepped onto the Northern Region's arena. Her face was as beautiful as peerless jade, cold and aloof. This girl was an icy beauty. Her body exuded a strange, blood-curdling cold air. This Bing Shueiyue has already won 19 in a row. Apart from Goddess Bing Wei, she's the strongest woman of the Northern Zone. The crowd below were stunned by Bing Shueiyue's beauty and strength. Without meeting Goddess Bing Wei, or the top 3 of the first tier, Bing Shueiyue couldn't even take one move. Zhe, little ice beauty, I've long heard of your Mystic Ice Palace's ice skills. I'd like to learn a thing or two from you. A slightly lecherous pockmarked man walked onto the stage. The pockmarked man's true dragon token gave off a faint silver light, and his cultivation had reached the early stages of the true human rank. For a moment, the icy wind that resembled an ice phoenix's roar intertwined with the dark gray saber light's torrential river, clashing violently again and again. The terrifying shockwaves from the battle extended from 1 kilometer to more than 2 kilometers in radius. The shockwave from their battle could almost destroy a small village. The hearts of the geniuses below shook. Normal true human rank cultivators would have been ripped to shreds if they were caught in their battle. The strength of the true mystic rank is indeed strong. My mental energy level is comparable to the true mystic rank, and if I want to form the root of law, theoretically possible. Zhao Feng first sighed at Bing Shueiyue and Ma Tiansan's battle power, and then found that his mental energy level was comparable to the true mystic rank. Apart from the quality and quantity of the qi of true spirit, the true mystic rank was much stronger than the true human rank. The symbol of the true mystic rank was to comprehend the heaven and earth and form the root of law. In essence, it was to nurture the comprehended state into a seed, a root of profundity that could communicate with heaven and earth. The seed formed from comprehension was the source of true spirit. This was because the source of true spirit was the foundation of a cultivation technique. It absorbed the heaven-earth yuan qi of the corresponding element and condensed it within the body. In theory, as long as one's cultivation reached a certain level, the seed could evolve and form a root of law that connected to the heaven and earth. Suddenly, a terrifying thought and a shocking plan appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. We only have 10 days. Can we succeed or not? Once I succeed, my cultivation will be comparable to the early stages of the true mystic rank, and I'll be able to reach the top 10. I'll even have the chance to fight against the overwhelming prodigies. Zhao Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Thinking to the end, his entire body started to tremble. In theory, his idea and plan had a chance of being realized. The key was whether Zhao Feng could form his own root of law before the final battle. Boom! Crack! A deafening explosion sounded out from the Northern Zone arena as layers of icy mountain silhouettes appeared in the air and engulfed Ma Tiansan with an unstoppable chill. Bam! Ma Tiansan was thrown off the northern stage and almost turned into a popsicle as he trembled with shock. You've only reached the true mystic rank not long ago, and your root of law is comparable to the early stages of the true mystic rank. You must have obtained the essence of the mystic ice inheritance. Chapter 350. Northern Stage. This intense battle between true mystic ranks was won by Bing Shueiyue. She's indeed worthy of being the rising star of the Mystic Ice Palace. She beat Ma Tiansan at the early stages of the true mystic rank not long after reaching the true mystic rank. Apparently Bing Shueiyue and Goddess Bing Wei both received the essence of the mystic ice inheritance. The geniuses below couldn't help but sigh. The Mystic Ice Palace's name shook the world, and they controlled one of the four great inheritances, the Mystic Ice Inheritance, which would open once every few decades. Amongst the 10 great clans, the Mystic Ice Palace's ranking was always high, and there would always be geniuses in every sacred true dragon gathering. This Bing Shueiyue's ice cultivation method is much better than my lightning inheritance. Furthermore, she has a powerful ice bloodline. Zhao Feng watched the battle from start to finish and felt Bing Shueiyue's terrifying strength. Maybe she had the chance to reach Mo Tianyi and Qin Kunwa's level. Ma Tiansan wasn't weak either and had the chance to reach the top 30. On the northern stage, his strength was only below the top 3. If Zhao Feng faced Ma Tiansan, he wouldn't have the confidence to win, and even if he did win, it would be a hard battle. After this battle, Bing Shueiyue became the #1 black horse of the northern stage, and even amongst the black horses of the sacred true dragon gathering. Shueiyue, you did well this battle. The overwhelming prodigy goddess Bing Wei revealed a rare smile in her cold eyes. Sister, this is only the first round, and I'm already forced to use my bloodline skill. Bing Shueiyue's breathing sped up. After all, the battle just now had been won by someone with a higher cultivation level. It was not an easy win for her. However, the bronze true dragon token in her hand had a faint silver true dragon pattern on it, and its draconic providence had increased dramatically. Sister, you need to understand that there are many geniuses in the sacred true dragon gathering that can challenge those stronger than themselves. It wasn't easy for you to use your bloodline skill to beat Ma Tiansan. Goddess Bing Wei stroked her little sister's hair with a trace of love in her eyes. Northern stage. After more than 20 battles, the situation became clearer. Bing Shueiyue was the leader of the 4 dark horses of the northern region stage, and she had the strongest dragon blessing. Next was Hong Zhan, who was at the initial stages of the true mystic rank and had never been defeated. He had only fought to a draw with an older true mystic rank genius. The third place was Zhao Feng, who had won more than 20 matches in a row. In fourth place was Wang Xiaoguai with 20 consecutive wins. However, Wang Xiaoguai was unlucky and encountered Qin Kunwa in the 22nd match. Qin Kunwa was a legend across the continent, and his ranking in the last sacred true dragon gathering was even higher than Mo Tianyi. Boom! As soon as Wang Xiaoguai went up, he activated his bloodline power. His eyes flashed with a purple-gold light, and his muscles became as hard as metal. His body doubled in size, making him look like a small giant. In that instant, his physical strength had reached a terrifying level, and he could crush normal true mystic ranks with his bare hands. Earth Fiend Windcloud Staff. Wang Xiaoguai swung his gold and silver rod, sending out dozens of rod images that were dozens of feet long, accompanied by a violent purple azure wind. In terms of battle power, Wang Xiaoguai was comparable to the true mystic rank. His ancient bloodline was extremely unique, and the more injured he was, the stronger his battle power would be. Universe Righteous Qi Technique. Qin Kunwa's eyes were like stars as a vast qi of true spirit surged from his body and connected with the heaven-earth yuan qi. Whoosh! In an instant, the purple starlight that covered the sky and the earth shone brightly for a kilometer. Ta! Qin Kunwa let out a loud roar. The purple star palm force that was as vast as a long river suppressed the demons of heaven and earth. It was filled with an awe-inspiring righteous aura and had the power to sweep through the universe. Wang Xiaoguai's crazily swung rod, shadow, wind dissipated like dust. Bam! The terrifying power sent Wang Xiaoguai flying and spitting out blood. The difference in strength couldn't be made up for with bloodline and skill. Zhao Feng wasn't surprised at Wang Xiaoguai's loss. After all, his opponent was someone on the same level as Mo Tianyi and had the potential to reach the top 20. Unfortunately, he's too fast. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye locked on a Qin Kunwa's qi of true spirit. The root of law was able to connect with the heaven-earth yuan qi and control the heaven-earth yuan qi. However, Qin Kunwa's battle power was stronger than expected and suppressed Wang Xiaowai in one move. The latter didn't even have a chance. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and immersed his consciousness into his source of true spirit to feel the profundities within. My source of true spirit contains the comprehension of the lightning inheritance, followed by the mystic flower treasured Bible. Zhao Feng analyzed bit by bit. In the ancient arena, he would open his god's spiritual eye to observe whenever a true mystic rank took action. After some observation, he gained new insights and made progress. The root of law is to condense one's comprehension of the heaven-earth into a sprout that can connect with the heaven-earth and borrow its power. Zhao Feng had an idea. The root of law used the source of true spirit as the seed and was nurtured on the mental energy level before connecting with the heaven-earth yuan qi. Yu Qianhao's invincible palm light was like a dazzling and mysterious aurora, crushing everything in its path. Its vast might caused the stage to slightly shake. The faint gold-colored true dragon light patterns on his body emitted faint dragon roars, as if he was possessed by a true dragon. Pung! Prince Jean spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent off the stage with a bitter smile. It was unknown if it was an honor or a tragedy to fight the number one genius of the continent. His peak true mystic rank cultivation allowed Yu Qianhao to stand at the peak, and his strength was enough to shock those at the true lord rank. Furthermore, unparalleled under the heavens was the pinnacle of the continent and made many inheritances lose their color. Northern stage. Zhao Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Wang, the true dragon token on his body, suddenly shook and pointed towards the northern stage. The 44th battle. It's my turn again. Zhao Feng expressionlessly stood up and landed on the northern stage. 44 wins made Zhao Feng the black horse of the northern stage. At this point in time, the true dragon token in Zhao Feng's hand turned a deep bronze color and had a faint silver tint to it. One reason he was able to obtain such a record was because Zhao Feng was strong, and the other reason was that his luck was decent. The reason why Zhao Feng was lucky was because he hadn't met an overwhelming prodigy or an expert of the first tier. On the contrary, Wang Xiaowai and Hong Zhan of the 4 black horses of the northern stage had both met strong opponents and lost. Even Bing Shuiwei had met Ma Tiansan, who was a genius of the true mystic rank. Qiu Qiu, a cold and beautiful girl in a snow-white robe, floated onto the northern arena. Her face was as beautiful as ice jade. The powerful aura of the true mystic rank communicated with the heaven-earth yuan qi and formed a terrifying coldness. See, Zhao Feng hiccuped as the coldness seeped into his bones. Hua! The crowd below the northern stage was filled with expectation and gloating as they looked at Zhao Feng. Looks like my luck isn't that good. Zhao Feng originally wanted to end the battle quickly, but his opponent was the head of the 4 black horses, Bing Shuiwei. Bing Shuiwei, you challenge Zhao Feng, and if you win, you'll only get half of his normal dragon blessing. On the other hand, if you lose, you'll lose twice the normal dragon blessing. The honorable judge said indifferently and reminded them again. I confirm. Bing Shuiwei's cold eyes locked onto Zhao Feng. Hearing this, Zhao Feng was stunned. His meeting with Bing Shuiwei wasn't due to the true dragon token, but a challenge from Bing Shuiwei. In principle, the sacred true dragon gathering allowed challenges, but each person only had 3 chances, and it wasn't worth it. Why is Bing Shuiwei challenging me? Zhao Feng's heart jumped as his eyes twinkled. Chapter 351. This snow-robed girl in front of him was the strongest opponent Zhao Feng had faced since the start of the sacred true dragon gathering. The key point was that Zhao Feng didn't meet her due to the true dragon token, but a challenge. This made him puzzled no matter how he thought about it. Apart from fighting, Zhao Feng spent most of his time comprehending and forming his root of law. Zhao Feng didn't pay much attention to the outside world. In reality, the truth wasn't complicated. Of the 4 black horses of the northern zone, Only Bing Shueiyue and Zhao Feng have a 44 win streak. This blue-haired brat's luck isn't bad. He hasn't met a strong enough opponent, and that's why he's on par with Bing Shueiyue. Bing Shueiyue is indeed as competitive as her sister. She won't allow such a thing to happen. The geniuses below the stage all had playful expressions as they waited for a good show. Bing Shueiyue stood silently on the stage with disgust and disdain in her cold eyes. A measly early stage, true, human rank cultivation, and he's on par with me? This is a humiliation. I'm a number 1 black horse of the Northern Zone. Bing Shueiyue's eyebrows furrowed in disgust. However, Zhao Feng's strength wasn't bad and his luck wasn't bad either. She wanted to become the number 1 black horse of a Northern Zone and charge towards the rising star of the sacred True Dragon Gathering. This was why Bing Shueiyue challenged Zhao Feng. So that's how it is. That's good. I'm forming my root of law. This girl has just reached the true mystic rank, but her root of law is already so strong. Furthermore, her bloodline is of the same element as mine. Zhao Feng accepted reality. Although he didn't have a high chance of winning against Bing Shueiyue, he could learn from her. Blue hair brat, your luck ends here. Bing Shueiyue's face was filled with disgust as her true spirit aura enveloped Zhao Feng. She had just reached the true mystic rank, and her root of law was already comparable to the early stages of the true mystic rank. Therefore, Bing Shueiyue's true spirit chill was enough to crush the will of a normal true human rank. Oh, it's a little cold. Zhao Feng shuddered, but his mind was not affected. Whoosh! Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and locked onto Bing Shueiyue. In a split second, Bing Shueiyue's snow-white dress faded in Zhao Feng's eyes. Now that the god's spiritual eye had evolved to its current level, seeing through was only the most basic ability. But Zhao Feng wasn't trying to peep at her. Bing Shueiyue's body flashed before his eyes and was replaced by the blood, qi of true spirit, and even the power of her bloodline. The clearest was his qi of true spirit, which flowed through his meridians. Shameless. Bing Shueiyue sensed something, and her face turned red. Then, she was enveloped by a cold aura. Arctic wind. Bing Shueiyue shouted and waved her jade-like hands. An icy blue gust of wind the size of a house howled as it shot toward Zhao Feng. A crazy attack. Within a radius of 1 mile, the Arctic wind was raging and howling. Even a gust of extreme north ice wind could instantly freeze a peak true human rank into a popsicle. Bing Shueiyue, in her anger and embarrassment, sent out 7 or 8 Arctic winds at once. Even a normal true mystic rank would die here. CC. Zhao Feng felt an endless coldness sweep over him, and his blood and qi of true spirit became hard to circulate. Those at the true mystic rank who had comprehended the root of law could completely suppress those at the true human rank. Furthermore, Bing Shueiyue's cultivation and skills were higher than Zhao Feng's. Chill. Zhao Feng turned into an arc of lightning and disappeared from where he stood. Shua. In the next instant, 2 or 3 figures of Zhao Feng appeared in the air. Amongst them, 2 of them were the shadow doppelgangers created by Zhao Feng's in-shadow cloak. Bam! Bam! The icy wind roared and instantly crushed towards the area where Zhao Feng was. 2 of the figures were instantly destroyed. At this point in time, Zhao Feng's figure was pushed back, and he kept on using his lightning claw and lightning ripple, but he couldn't face it head-on. The suppression of his root of profundity, the suppression of his cultivation base, and the suppression of his cultivation technique. This girl is indeed worthy of being close to Mo Tianyi and Qin Kunwa's level. In a normal clash, Zhao Feng would definitely lose. Right now, he didn't use his bloodline power or his 4-eye bloodline secret techniques. He only used the god's spiritual eye's control and speed to move around Bing Shueiyue. However, Bing Shueiyue's bloodline power and killing moves were also not used. Lightning Claw. Extreme Northern Ice Wind. The lightning claw slashed through the air and clashed with the icy wind. Crack! The lightning claw was soon destroyed, and the remaining power of the icy wind rushed toward Zhao Feng. Teleportation lightning steps. Zhao Feng's figure disappeared with a schwa and appeared several yards away in a flash of lightning. At the critical moment, he had dodged the core of the attack. The geniuses below the North Region arena trembled in fear. Zhao Feng seemed to be walking on a tightrope. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would be frozen into a popsicle and lose. However, Zhao Feng was able to avert danger every time, and every time, he was able to escape unscathed. His god's spiritual eye controlled the situation and could see how Bing Shui's qi of true spirit circulated, including the state of her bones and muscles. Shua, shua, shua. Zhao Feng's movement skill had merged the essence of the lightning inheritance and the mystic flower treasure Bible. It was fast and unpredictable. Bing Shui didn't specialize in speed, and every time Zhao Feng saw her path, she would be forced to retreat. Although you're strong and I can't block you head-on, what can you do if you can't hit me head-on? Zhao Feng's figure was like lightning as he moved across the stage with a hint of calmness. His god spiritual eye locked on a Bing Shui, and while he moved around, he also observed how she used her root of law. The geniuses below the stage that were prepared to watch the show slowly put away their playfulness and disdain. Some of the top geniuses with good eyesight had solemn expressions. Although the Zhao Feng doesn't seem to be able to win, he's actually controlling the situation. Xia Xinshan's expression became solemn. He was thinking, although his sword Dao attacks were powerful, what would happen if Zhao Feng could see through all his movements and trajectories? And there was also the terrifying speed of his movement technique. This Brat's Eye bloodline has such a rare ability. The ghost-eyed man's eyes flickered with a tinge of jealousy. Firstly, the opponent's eye bloodline had terrifying control and could take the initiative. Secondly, a strong source of mental energy could allow one to achieve incredible things in the path of mental energy illusions. Furthermore, instinct told him that Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye wasn't as simple as it looked. This was because when he looked at Zhao Feng's left eye for the first time, his eye bloodline trembled uneasily. Shui Yu is being led by the nose by this brat. Goddess Bing Wei's eyebrows furrowed as she paid attention to the battle. Dozens of moves later, Zhao Feng's figure was like a ghost that came and went without a trace. He had the demeanor of the Water Moon pirate in the past. His god spiritual eye locked on a Bing Shui and only defended. Bing Shui wasn't dumb and slowly calmed down, not wasting her qi of true spirit. If that's the case, Bing Shui's expression was cold as she smiled coldly. The qi of true spirit within her trembled, and a terrifying coldness spread out. Not good. Zhao Feng's expression changed as he caught sight of Bing Shui's root of law blossoming, and a sense of danger swept over. Ice Blade Storm. Bing Shui shouted as she leapt into the air and danced. Her jade-like hands waved in the air as a terrifying ice storm swept out in all directions. What was even more frightening was that countless ring-shaped ice blades appeared around the ice storm. Even if it was a mountain rock, it would still be sliced into pieces. As Bing Shui danced, the range of the ice blade storm became larger and larger, soon reaching 100 yards. Wherever she floated, the terrifying ice blade storm would engulf the entire area. Being an expert at the true mystic rank, Bing Shui's speed wasn't much slower than Zhao Feng. The main difference was in speed. But now she was using the ice blade storm to squeeze Zhao Feng's space to dodge. The area of effect attack of the true mystic rank far surpasses the true human rank. Zhao Feng's expression was solemn as he landed on the stage. 3-flowered treasured lotus. Zhao Feng's expression was calm as a 3-colored lotus appeared under his feet. One, green, blue, and purple petals extended from the 3-flowered treasured lotus, intertwining to form a tricolored flower screen. Ding, ding, ding. Sparks flew around the 3-flowered treasured lotus. The ring-shaped ice blades around the ice blade storm cut the petals again and again, causing them to flicker. Zhao Feng let out a long breath as he stood on the 3-flowered treasured lotus. The 3-flowered treasured lotus defensive power was undeniable. The 3-flowered treasured lotus gave off a hypnotic and aphrodisiac scent that made Bing Shuiyue exclaim and retreat dozens of yards away. Despicable. Bing Shuiyue's face was slightly red and her body was hot. She glared at Zhao Feng with disgust. The latter didn't mind and murmured, "Because this girl's inheritance is strong and her comprehension is profound, she's comparable to the early stages of the true mystic rank." At this point in time, Zhao Feng had grasped the root of law that Bing Shuiyue had comprehended. As for forming the root of law, Zhao Feng had grasped the essence and method. All he lacked was a bit of time. Right at this point in time, Bing Shuiyue attacked once again, and a weird ice pattern appeared on her skin like that of feather. Ice Wind Phoenix Flight. The frigid storm in the air abruptly converged, producing an unprecedented cold energy pressure. In the end, the terrifying frigid tempest condensed into the shape of an ice phoenix. Its aura was majestic, and it carried with it the invisible pressure of an ancient creature. "This is your bloodline power?" Zhao Feng's bloodline started to tremble. A terrifying coldness and the aura of an ancient being almost suffocated him. Even with the 3-flowered treasured lotus protecting him, he couldn't take this move head on. However, in this moment of danger, Zhao Feng's heart remained calm. Under the god's spiritual eye, he could even see how Bing Shuyue's bloodline circulated. Her bloodline attribute is the same as mine, so her bloodline technique should be suitable for me. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. Shua! A diagram appeared in Zhao Feng's mind, and after analyzing it according to Bing Shuyue's method, he used it on himself. God's spiritual eye duplication. Zhao Feng's left eye glowed with a mysterious blue light. The next instant, his hands danced like Bing Shuyue's. Boom! A large blurry figure appeared behind Zhao Feng and sat on a tattered throne like the king of winter. Chapter 352. Ever since the capital, Zhao Feng had once again used his bloodline secret technique. This time, it was twice as profound as before. Wu! A mysterious figure of ice appeared behind Zhao Feng. It was more than 1 yard tall, and its size and coldness were stronger than last time. Its face was clearer. The biggest difference was that there was a broken and blurry ice-ceiling throne under the icy shadow, which had an ancient aura. That's... The mystic Ice Queen stared at the figure on the throne of ice behind Zhao Feng and was slightly surprised. That icy shadow was clearly a manifestation of his ancestral awakening bloodline. However, even the mystic Ice Queen, who was at the origin core realm, couldn't see through such a pure bloodline aura. "Break!" Zhao Feng roared as he thrust out his palm. Lightning blossomed like a lotus and boomed. With a casual palm, the lightning inheritance and the mystic flower treasured Bible merged together perfectly. The effect wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. It was obvious that Zhao Feng had made great progress in comprehending the root of law over the past couple days. Boom! As the palm energy burst forth, there was a huge ball of ice light surrounding it. It was bone-chilling and stagnant chi and blood. In an instant, Zhao Feng's palm turned into a flower of ice and lightning that was almost 10 yards wide. It blossomed beautifully and gave off a magnificent aura. Bam! The faint blue light of the ice phoenix clashed with the flower of ice and lightning and created a terrifying explosion. Crack! The flower of ice and thunder exploded in the air, and ice and thunder rumbled. Bing Lanyue's Ice Wind Phoenix flight still had the advantage, but it was damaged and smashed toward Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng wasn't surprised. After all, there was a huge difference in cultivation between him and Bing Lanyue. Pung! The remaining power of the Ice Wind Phoenix flight smashed into the 3-flowered treasured lotus, causing the petals to flicker. Wu! Behind Zhao Feng, the majestic icy shadow on the ice throne let out a low roar, creating a mysterious protection. The corrosive cold energy disappeared without a trace as soon as it got close. How was this possible? You clearly learned my bloodline secret skill just now. Bing Shuiyue stared at Zhao Feng in disbelief. She had not expected him to possess such a powerful bloodline. It was subtle. Zhao Feng's bloodline attribute was the same as hers. Last time in Canopy Great Country, Prince Jin and Wang Xiaowai's bloodline secret techniques were different, so Zhao Feng could learn a thing or two. Now that he had encountered a bloodline secret skill of the same attribute, he was able to copy it immediately. What do you mean by secretly learning? Ice-type bloodlines are not exclusive to your profound ice palace. Zhao Feng teased. You're seeking death. Although your bloodline inheritance is strong, the gap in cultivation and realm cannot be bridged. Bing Shuiyue's face turned cold. With a shout, she attacked again. Ice Wind Phoenix Flight. A large ice phoenix was formed in the icy wind and charged towards Zhao Feng with the pressure of an ancient being. Ice Lightning Mystic Flower. Zhao Feng circulated his bloodline's secret technique and thrust out his palm. The power of ice and lightning clashed with the ice phoenix in the middle of the stream of cold air. Pa! Bam! Bam! This time, Zhao Feng was more familiar and thrust out a few palms at once, clashing head-on with Bing Shuiyue. In terms of pure destructive power, Zhao Feng's power of ice lightning was obviously more powerful than the pure power of ice. However, Bing Shuiyue had reached the true mystic rank, and the quality of her qi of true spirit was higher. Her root of law could connect to the mysteries of heaven and earth, so she had the advantage in both quantity and quality. For this reason, Zhao Feng was at a disadvantage in a head-on clash, but this was much better than when he had been running around. Bing Shuiyue's eyebrows furrowed and felt her head hurt. Zhao Feng had the protection of the three-flowered treasured lotus and the mysterious protection of the ice throne behind him. The power of ice that broke through his defense mysteriously disappeared when it got close to Zhao Feng. As time passed, the ice throne behind Zhao Feng became brighter. This blue-haired brat's so strong. He can already fight Bing Shuiyue head-on. The number 1 black horse of the Northern Zone is still unknown. The spectators were surprised. Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the Ghost-Eyed Man, the 3 strongest in the first tier, were also surprised. The overwhelming prodigy goddess Bing Wei's eyes flashed with surprise. His bloodline atavism can absorb the power of frost. Zhao Feng's bloodline could be said to be both offensive and defensive. Adding on the 3-flowered treasured lotus, he was undefeatable. Shua. So. The 3-flowered treasured lotus suddenly carried Zhao Feng and sped through the air. Gradually, he even switched from defense to offense. He was flexible and varied, no longer defending passively. Boom, boom, Zhao Feng and Bing Shuiyue started to fight fiercely on the Northern Zone's arena. Bing Shuiyue's aura was stronger, and Zhao Feng was more agile. Flowers of ice and lightning blossomed in the air. The 2 black horses of the Northern Zone aren't bad. These 2 black horses are at least comparable to the early stages of the true mystic rank. The battle on the Northern Zone attracted the attention of the spectators and geniuses. Sister wins, Goddess Bing Wei murmured after a long silence. At this moment, as a peerless prodigy, she came to this conclusion. Who won and who lost? Qin Kunwu, Xia Xianshang, and the Ghost-Eyed Man were all thinking. This Zhao Feng is indeed a black horse. Even I misjudged him. Unfortunately, he's going to lose this battle. Qin Kunwu said confidently. What do you mean? The square-faced youth asked curiously. He had always had high hopes for Zhao Feng, and his clash with Bing Shuiyue was even more stunning. None of the bloodline inheritances can support a protracted battle. Qin Kunwu chuckled. Hearing this, the square-faced youth's expression changed slightly. He then sighed and seemed to agree with Qin Kunwu's opinion. Once you lose the protection of your bloodline, how will you fight against experts at the true mystic rank? Coldness flashed in Bing Shuiyue's eyes. Although she couldn't do anything to Zhao Feng in the current situation, she had the upper hand in terms of aura. As the 2 clashed, their bloodline power would be used up. Bloodline power came from an ancestor's inheritance, and once it was used up, it was hard to replenish. In terms of recovery speed, bloodline power was much slower than qi of true spirit. Furthermore, Bing Shueyue was confident that her bloodline inheritance would last longer than Zhao Feng. Am I going to lose? How could Zhao Feng's god spiritual I not see the situation? As the battle continued, his bloodline power was being used up bit by bit. However, Zhao Feng wasn't willing to lose like this. Before condensing my root of law, I'm indeed not her match in the physical world. Looks like I can only try the mental energy world. Zhao Feng's mind quickly analyzed. Punches, kicks, blades, and sword attacks, including qi of true spirit, all belong to the physical world and could be seen with the naked eye. I have illusion? This girl's root of law is so strong, and her mental energy level isn't bad. I have ice soul. This girl cultivates an ice skill and should have a strong resistance to mental energy. Then I have heart. Those from a mystic ice palace are cold and tough and won't be able to find an opening. Zhao Feng thought about the three eye bloodline techniques he knew. In the end, he found that the most suitable was the lightning fire god's eye. Fire and ice countered each other. The lightning fire eye was the fusion of lightning and fire and could pierce through both the physical and mental energy worlds. Of course, Zhao Feng also had a killing move, which was the water moon god peach fan. It could use mental energy attacks, and whoever had the strongest mental energy would have the advantage. Then I'll try the lightning fire god's eye. Zhao Feng's mind spun, and he made his decision. Wang, wisps of true spirit, lightning fire, suddenly jumped around in his dantian. Wisps of faint blue blood turned into lines that extended into the dimension of his left eye. Within the dimension of his left eye, the true spirit lightning flame merged with the eye bloodline power in the freezing pond. Pung, pung. Zhao Feng's left eye started to contract at a weird rhythm. A freezing pond appeared in his left eye, and wisps of faint azure lightning fire appeared around it, as if it had a life of its own. As the faint azure lightning fire merged with his left eye, the latter seemed to become like Zhao Feng's eye. At this point in time, a faint azure lightning fire spun around the edge of Zhao Feng's left eye. That's... Bing Shueyue's heart shook, and she felt uneasy. How is this possible? The ghost-eyed man below the stage exclaimed, his face full of shock. This is the secret method of our Wu family's ghost eye flame. Lightning fire god's eye. Open. The lightning fire in Zhao Feng's left eye flashed and disappeared. Whoosh! A ball of azure lightning fire seemed to burn on Bing Shueyue's body and gave off a low boom. This wasn't a normal fire. In the blink of an eye, that ball of light blue thunder fire roared as it burned and spread into his mind. Arg! Bing Shueyue screamed as her face went white and cold sweat appeared on her forehead. She circulated her qi of true spirit, and her body glowed with an icy light. Her skin became brighter and brighter, like the patterns on a feather. Sizzle. More than half of the faint green lightning flames burning on her body were quickly extinguished. However, the lightning fire god's eye's activation speed was too fast. The mysterious flame would hit the target almost the instant she looked at it. When the lightning fire was extinguished, there were several scorch marks on Bing Shueyue's skin. However, the bigger disaster was in the mental energy dimension. Because the lightning fire god's eye was a true spirit lightning fire that had merged with Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye, it could also burn mental energy. Facing mental energy attacks, Bing Shueyue's methods were weak. Arg! Bing Shueyue screamed in pain and rolled on the ground. Formless lightning and fire burned and wreaked havoc in her mind, causing her to bear unprecedented pain and suffering. Sister, Goddess Bing Wei's expression changed dramatically. Blue hair brat, you dare to steal my Wu family's ghost eye flame secret technique? The ghost-eyed man roared in anger. Zhao Feng's god's eye lightning fire was obviously copied from him. What was more infuriating was that it was even more destructive than his eye bloodline. At this point in time, the ghost-eyed man gritted his teeth in jealousy and anger. No, this brat's eye bloodline's most terrifying ability is to copy the enemy's secret techniques. The ghost-eyed man suddenly thought of something and couldn't help but take a cold breath. Being one of the successors of one of the three major eye bloodline families, This was the first time he had heard of such a monstrous bloodline. Chapter 353. The Northern Stage. From the overwhelming prodigies in the top three of the first tier to the prodigies of the continent, they were all stunned. Lightning Fire God's eye. Zhao Feng's left eye flashed, and a half-transparent lightning fire landed on Bing Shueiyue. Victory was flipped in this one glance. No one had expected the situation to change so quickly. Just a moment ago, Bing Shueiyue had the advantage, but the next moment she was hit by a terrifying eye flame. Ark! Bing Shueiyue screamed and rolled on the ground as if she was better off dead. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. The lightning fire god's eye's power had exceeded his expectations and had put the opponent in a life-or-death situation. At this moment in time, the faint azure lightning fire was burning Bing Shueiyue's soul, and the pain was 10 times, or even 100 times stronger than the pain on her body. Sister, quickly admit defeat. Goddess Bing Wei and the mystic Ice Queen exclaimed in the spectating stands. Plop! Bing Shueiyue's screams stopped, and she fainted. Shua! The judge waved the true dragon flag and glanced deeply at Zhao Feng. Wang, Zhao Feng's true dragon, token glowed brightly, and a layer of faint silver dragon lines appeared on it. His genius dragon blessing increased by a significant amount. When Zhao Feng got off the stage, he saw the cold, killing intent in Goddess Bing Wei's eyes, as well as the ghost-eyed man's jealousy and anger. Although his fame had risen in this battle, he had offended one of the overwhelming prodigies in the ghost-eyed man's jealousy and hatred. The key is to condense the root of law as soon as possible. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged as wisps of intent collided in his mind and merged into his source of true spirit before guiding the heaven-earth Yuanqi nearby. At this moment in time, the sacred True Dragon Gathering Battle of the Five Zones had also entered the late stages. Of the 4 black horses of the northern stage, only Zhao Feng had won 45 times. The battle just then made Zhao Feng the number 1 black horse of the northern stage. At the same time, the east, west, south, and central regions all had big dark horses. Especially in the southern region, the 4 dark horses included Xian Wuheng and Lu Qinxin. From the beginning to the end, Xian Wuheng fought with one hand and even defeated experts at the true mystic rank. In the air, on the oval platform, the 9 venerables of the Sacred Alliance looked down at the scene, occasionally discussing with joy on their faces. This Xian Wuheng is young, but his intent and style vaguely have the air of a grandmaster. He doesn't have a bloodline, nor does he have top-notch aptitude, yet he can reach this step. Strange, strange. The bronze-skinned deputy palace lord was puzzled and couldn't understand. It is indeed a miracle. Moreover, he has suppressed his true cultivation level. That blue-haired youth's bloodline is abnormally strong. It's at least on par with the 3 major bloodlines of the continent. Maybe it's connected to one of the 8 great god eyes. The supremacies on the platform expressed their opinions. The dragon blessing of this generation's sacred True Dragon Gathering was extremely strong, and the quality of the black horses far surpassed the past. Each of the 5 peerless prodigies could reign over several generations. In the clouds, layers upon layers of overlapping images, like a mirage, were faintly discernible. At a certain moment, a green light appeared in the overlapping images, and one could faintly see mountains and rivers. There were also some human-like beings, such as those with human heads and snake bodies. Another inheritance projection appeared so quickly. The sovereigns raised their heads almost at the same time. This is the Green Sea inheritance, and there are many extinct races inside. This inheritance only appeared once in the Azure Flower continent 10,000 years ago. The value of the Green Sea inheritance is indeed not bad. It's even close to the 4 great inheritances. The joy on the sovereigns' faces grew. The first round of the sacred True Dragon Gathering hadn't even ended, and a second inheritance projection had appeared. Even the era of the Sword Saint Yi Wuxia and the Scarlet Moon Patriarch didn't have such a scene. The only regret was that there was no sign of any of the four great inheritances. In this peak era where the five overwhelming prodigies had appeared, it would be too disappointing if one of the four great inheritances didn't appear. No rush. The four great legacies will only appear at the most crucial moment. The bronze-skinned, giant deputy palace lord smiled faintly. Even if this era was the strongest, the sacred true dragon gathering wouldn't be able to push the dragon blessing to the peak. Northern stage. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged and put all his effort into forming the root of law. Within his dantian, the source of true spirit trembled. All of Zhao Feng's cultivation essence was in this source. His understanding came from this foundation. Starting from the source of true spirit, Zhao Feng's understanding started to rise in his mind. In his mind, he could faintly see a strand of light green thread, thinner than silk, appearing and disappearing from time to time. The faint azure threads flickered with transparent, ring-shaped electric patterns. They produced strange fluctuations that merged with the world. At this point in time, the root of law was faintly discernible in Zhao Feng's mind. It was in the initial stages of forming. If it was just the lightning inheritance, the speed of forming the root of law would be several times faster. Maybe by now, Zhao Feng sighed. He realized that forming the root of law before he had even reached the true mystic rank was already not normal. However, Zhao Feng was greedy and wanted to merge the essence of the mystic flower treasured Bible. But now that things had reached this point, Zhao Feng had no path of retreat, and he didn't regret it. The initial strength of the root of law will affect one's strength in the future. For example, Bing Shuiwei used the essence of the mystic ice inheritance to reach the true mystic rank not long ago, but her root of law was strong enough to beat Ma Tiansan. Zhao Feng didn't take a single step back as he gritted his teeth and advanced. Under this pressure, his God's spiritual eyes comprehension, learning, and calculation abilities had reached a peak, and he had dug out a lot of potential. Every second, the insights in Zhao Feng's mind clashed hundreds or thousands of times. Only when the true dragon token sensed something did Zhao Feng go up to fight. I admit defeat. On the northern stage, a youth at the late stages of the true human rank had a depressed expression and admitted defeat without thinking. After defeating Bing Shuiwei, Zhao Feng was the number one black horse of the northern stage, and his strength was comparable to the first tier. When he left the stage, Zhao Feng felt a coldness pierce through his spine and heart, and his body stiffened. Glancing over, Goddess Bing Wei's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent that made one's heart tremble. Next to her, Bing Shuiwei sat cross-legged on the ground with a pale face. The mystic Ice Queen's hands were crossed as she healed her disciple. "Master, even you can't do anything?" Goddess Bing Wei asked. Ever since she lost, Bing Shuiwei was in a life or death situation. Luckily, a sovereign at the Origin Core realm used a supreme spiritual pill to save her life. Shuiwei is out of danger, but the damage to her soul can't be healed in a short amount of time. I'm worried that this damage will damage Shuiwei's root of law, and if it's serious, she may never be able to take another step forward. The mystic Ice Queen sighed. Doesn't that mean? Goddess Bing Wei gritted her teeth unwillingly. Yes, she won't be able to participate in the sacred true dragon gathering. The mystic Ice Queen said. She glanced deeply at Zhao Feng's back and fell into silence. In the sacred true dragon gathering, even sovereigns at the Origin Core realm couldn't interfere. Every genius in the sacred true dragon gathering would be protected by the Sacred Alliance, especially those that reached the top 100. Furthermore, she remembered that Zhao Feng came from the Iron Blood religion. The juniors were fighting fair and square. Since no one was killed or maimed, it was not appropriate for her to intervene. Damn it! Goddess Bing Wei's eyes were filled with killing intent, and a layer of icy mist surrounded her. The heaven-earth yuan, qi, seemed to freeze. Sovereign, I want to challenge Zhao Feng. Goddess Bing Wei took out her golden true dragon token, and her dragon blessing covered the entire northern stage. According to the rules of the sacred true dragon gathering, Everyone had 3 chances to challenge someone. Before, Bing Shueiyue had used this method to challenge Zhao Feng. And this time, Goddess Bing Wei wanted to use the same method to take revenge for her sister. Although I can't purposely kill someone in the sacred true dragon gathering, I'll kill you even if I lose a portion of my dragon blessing. At least, I'll cripple you and cripple your cultivation. Goddess Bing Wei's face was filled with killing intent, and her snow-white face was twisted. The overwhelming prodigy's true dragon token glowed, and the roar of a dragon sounded. A golden dragon faintly appeared around Goddess Bing Wei. Oh my god, what does Goddess Bing Wei want to do? As an unparalleled prodigy, he's challenging a new dark horse? This scene even shocked the entire ancient arena. The central region's Yu Qianhao, the eastern region's Tantai Lanyue, the southern region's Taiyun Shuangzi, and the western region's Shi Qingtan, the other 4 overwhelming prodigies all looked towards the northern stage. Instantly, 5 genius golden dragons of providence rose from the 5-region stage. At this point in time, the first round of the sacred true dragon gathering had reached a climax. The atmosphere and fighting spirit of the audience were aroused. Countless geniuses were excited. Wong boom. The ancient Colosseum was surrounded by mountains of stone statues. The majestic stone statues looked even more lifelike than before. The aura and power from the stone statues rose endlessly and instantly suppressed the entire ancient arena. Even sovereign lords at the Origin Core realm couldn't resist this aura. That aura was solemn, and mighty, as if it had been passed down from the ancient mythological era. The ancient arena seems to be able to summon the power of the ancient era. This is indeed a great era. The bronze-skinned, giant Deputy Palace Lord's eyes were filled with excitement. At the same time, another overlapping phantom appeared in the clouds in the sky. It was a phantom projected from the distant outer realms. This time, traces of blood appeared in the phantom image. There seemed to be a boundless sea of blood, mountains of corpses, and a bloody aura of slaughter. Even the geniuses in the arena could sense it a little. Oh my god, it's the projection of the Scarlet Moon Inheritance. Scarlet Moon Inheritance. How can it be so fast? The sovereigns of the Sacred Alliance were stunned. The Scarlet Moon Inheritance was indeed worthy of being one of the 4 great inheritances. As soon as it appeared, it pushed away the other 2 inheritances. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.